2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's live. He's nationwide on CBS Sports Radio. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
From the palatial yet not overly ostentatious studios of CBS Sports Radio here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to a Thursday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all of our great local CBS Sports Radio affiliates, SiriusXM, Channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and of course streaming on YouTube. 855-212-4CBS is the number to jump on in, 855-212-4227. And you could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or on the good old cesspool of Twitter, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. Got Moist Mike and also Stuart Kovacs rocking and rolling with me all the way up until 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Phil Simms, former NFL quarterback, Super Bowl MVP, NFL on CBS analyst, is going to stop by at the top of the hour. And then in the final hour of the show, one of my favorite NBA guests to chat some ball with, Antonio Daniels, will join us. All righty, we start with the NBA. And now we have a ruling, somewhat of a ruling, on the Draymond Green incident from the other day with Yusuf Nurkic, where Draymond Green and Yusuf Nurkic got tangled up, and Draymond Green is trying to break away from Yusuf Nurkic, and he turns around and he makes contact and punches Yusuf Nurkic. When that happened, there was nothing surprising about it. I don't think anyone was like, oh my goodness gracious. I couldn't believe that Draymond Green did that. Now, Draymond said his intentions weren't to hit him, but when you are Draymond Green and you're constantly kicking people in the cojones or grabbing people's legs or choking, I don't know, Rudy Gobert, and then making contact with Yusuf Nurkic, I don't care what you claim your intentions were. No one is going to believe what you say unless you get in front of the podium and say, I was wrong. I'm 1,000% in the wrong here. It will never happen again, and no one would believe that. But at least you have to be honest where you need to take full ownership of the situation. And Draymond Green didn't really do that. He kind of did like a half-ass apology where it wasn't my intention to do that. If it was, I would tell you and I wouldn't apologize for it. But here's my apology to Yusuf Nurkic. So from that, spineless Silver, Adam Silver had a decision to make. Do you continue to have egg on your face, and do you continue to get embarrassed by Draymond Green, who just recently, not that long ago, you gave only a 5-game suspension when you had an unnecessary matter, and he made it into a bad situation when there was a small kerfuffle that was happening, and Draymond wasn't trying to break it up. He was trying to further escalate it when Rudy Gobert was actually the one that was trying to break it up, and you choked Rudy Gobert. So if that's only a 5-game suspension, what were you going to do here? And the NBA, they do something that I do believe that in the last 24 hours or less, it's going to be met with a lot of praise, but I'm not going to praise it. The NBA has indefinitely suspended Draymond Green. Now, before you jump down my throat and go, Zach, why do you have a problem with an indefinite suspension? Draymond shouldn't be on a basketball court for a while. Draymond needs to change. You keep on saying they just let Draymond Green get away with it. You're all right. But I need to put a number on it because I don't trust Adam Silver to do the right thing and actually hold Draymond Green accountable. So I hear from Draymond's agents and people close to Draymond, right? He's going to seek counseling and he's going to get the help that he needs. And he's going to eventually have to show Adam Silver that he's in a good spot. We all know Draymond Green is a tremendous actor. Draymond Green plays a role on the court where in most cases, if he is on your team, you love him. If you have to play against him, you hate him. But there's a fine line in being a provocateur, in being a villain, and being someone that gets under the skin of opponents and then just being a jerk. And that's what Draymond Green is. On the basketball court, I'm not saying off the basketball court. I don't know. But on the basketball court, he is a jerk. And he takes things way too far. And this is not just a one-off. Like if this was one little incident where he makes contact with Yusuf Nurkic, he would get the benefit of the doubt and he would probably get slapped on the wrist. But now you're dealing with just multiple instances that roll right up the tip of the tongue where he had an incident with LeBron that cost the Warriors a championship. It ignited a Cavaliers comeback. You then just recently had him put Rudy Gobert in a headlock and try to choke him. And now he's making contact with Yusuf Nurkic. Those are just 3 incidents. And there's about, 15 or 16 more that we could further go down this road of showing you why Draymond Green has totally crossed the line. And each and every time, up until now, really 2 things happen. Draymond plays the victim card. Draymond says, it wasn't meant the way that it actually looked. And then Draymond Green will really get no actual punitive action to him. Nothing serious happening to Draymond Green. And look at it. He punched a teammate in the face in practice last year in Jordan Poole. And the greatest irony of all that is you would think a team would know, if any team in the league, especially who their coach is in Steve Kerr, who got punched once in the face by Michael Jordan, you would think if anyone would have sympathy for Jordan Poole and know how to handle that situation and have something or someone be held accountable in response for a nasty action, it would be Steve Kerr and the Golden State Warriors. But the Warriors basically sent him on a vacation in the preseason. He came back. He took it as a joke. Talked about how he just spent a bunch of time with his kids. Made a bunch of jokes at the podium. And then, by the way, this offseason, they traded Jordan Poole, and they thought it was a necessity. Let me repeat that. A necessity to bring back Draymond Green. They said this team cannot win a championship moving forward without Draymond Green or even contend for a championship. And I sat here in this studio, and I blasted Steve Kerr, And I blasted the Golden State Warriors when they gave him a $100 million deal because the juice just isn't worth the squeeze anymore with Draymond. I said this all throughout last season. I continued it in the offseason. They needed to get rid of Draymond Green because Draymond Green played a role. Draymond Green played a role and a character for a long time that was very successful. But now his role isn't putting the Warriors in a good enough position, and he can't be counted on, and he's still not as good as a player as he once was, where all the other antics and all the other crap that you have to put up with is worth it. Like, for example, you go back to Last Dance, and we all watched that during the pandemic. You know, there were different rules for Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman, even though there was a lot that came with Dennis Rodman, he was a player that could go vacation in the middle of the season because he needed a mental break and go to Las Vegas because the Bulls knew, whether it was Phil Jackson or Jerry Krause, they knew when he got back into the building, he did something exceptional on the basketball court, and he would give it his all on the basketball court. And I'm not saying Draymond doesn't give it his all on the basketball court, but Draymond's all on the basketball court isn't a necessity anymore to win. So this is a Warriors problem first and foremost. Because the Warriors, because they were winning all these championships, enabled and turned their head the other way when Draymond was acting wrong. But now you have a declining Draymond where the juice isn't worth the squeeze anymore. You have Klay Thompson, who unfortunately will probably never be 100% again. And then you still have an all-time great player in Steph Curry who's still trying to win another championship. But this core that once was great, and they won a championship 2 years ago, not even playing their best brand of basketball, is no longer the right core to go win another title. And there's a lot of times in sports, and it's tough, where you either pay people for what they will do in the future, or you reward people with contracts based off what they did in the past. And the Golden State Warriors rewarded Draymond Green and tried to talk it up like he's still essential for the future, but they did so to reward him for the past. And also, I think they are afraid to actually hold Draymond Green accountable. So with all that stuff being said, this indefinite suspension, yeah, it's at least something by the NBA, but it's very ambiguous because I don't know what the actual number will be for the suspension. So I put myself in the shoes of Adam Silver, and this is what I would have done. I would have suspended him anywhere from 15 to 20 games. And some people will say, well, just for the punch? Just for striking contact with Nurkic? No. It's a continuation of just dumb decisions. It's a continuation of bad behavior. And it's a continuation of malicious acts on a basketball court that just makes Draymond Green and the Golden State Warriors look like a bunch of buffoons. So I would give him a suspension anywhere from 15 to 20 games. And then I would say you need to complete a checklist of X, Y, and Z. And after that 15 to 20 games, if we don't feel that there is genuine remorse or you haven't done enough to put yourself in a better situation to prevent this moving forward, we could add on to it. But that's what I would have done. I would have had a number, and you gave him 5 last time. Clearly that didn't work. So what? Triple it or quadruple it, something like that to make it 15 or 20. And then he needs to complete certain requirements to show that he will change. But ultimately, I don't think Draymond is going to change. Because Draymond, whether you like him or not, no one can deny the work ethic and the success that he's had in this league. And he has done more on the basketball court when he came out of Michigan State than anyone could have expected in the NBA. But when you are that successful and when you have accomplished so much and you have been put in that status of being a king, right? Being basketball royalty, knowing you're going to the Hall of Fame and all that jazz. And internally, you may sense that you're not the right player anymore or the same player anymore. Or maybe you're naive enough to still think you're this great player. You're going to do what you know best. And what Draymond Green knows best is to be a pest on the basketball court and get underneath people's skin and kick people and smack people and throw elbows and put people in chokeholds. Because that's the role that he knows that even though he's been a malcontent, he has won a bunch of championships, made a ton of money, and has had a lot of success physically on the court and then financially as well. So I don't really think anything is going to change from Draymond. And if Draymond just has to put on this show of, all right, I'll be back in 2 weeks. I just got to complete a checklist, and then Silver will cave because he has no spine, and the next thing you know, I'll be back on the court. That doesn't do anything. So that's why I thought they needed to put a number on this suspension, and then with a caveat, you could go through the suspension, but if you don't do what we want you to do as well, we'll add on more to it. So that's where I'm at with this Draymond Green situation. I think the indefinite suspension is very ambiguous, and with how much the NBA caters to the player, I don't know what they will actually end up holding Draymond Green accountable, so I thought it would have been better to put an actual number on the Draymond Green suspension. What say you? 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. What do you think needs to happen with Draymond Green moving forward? And do you expect him to ever change? Because I do not. We'll take a break on the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. When we come on back in 5 minutes, big matchup on Sunday between the Dallas Cowboys and the Buffalo Bills. And you know what? I said the Dallas Cowboys for a reason. Usually I would tease something and say, oh, the drama Dallas choking Cowboys. But the Cowboys have walked away from that name, at least for a week. But when you get to this game, there's a big quarterback matchup. It's Dak Prescott. It's Josh Allen. Who would you rather have for the rest of the season? We'll discuss that when we return.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's live. He's nationwide on CBS Sports Radio. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Everyone will bow down to Silver because everyone thinks Silver's this great commissioner. He stinks. He is an overrated commissioner. What does he do that is so great? Outside of Donald Sterling, which he had to do and is 100% the right thing to get that jerk out of the sport, what else has he done? Because he has no control over this league, and people praise him for this play-in tournament, and this play-in tournament has never resonated with me, and I think it's so unnecessary.
Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
You can stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone. All season long, you can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports, or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. So, real quickly, I just want to go around the room here before we talk a little bit about Dak Prescott going up against Josh Allen. Tonight's highly anticipated Thursday night football matchup between the lowly Los Angeles Chargers and the dreadful Las Vegas Raiders. What is one reason, outside of money, I'm talking about a storyline that will carry into tomorrow that will get a lot of people buzzing from this game that we could talk about tomorrow? If you had to make a prediction, Stu, you know both these teams pretty well, being a Raiders fan. And notice, as you can see, Stu, on the YouTube stream, no Raiders gear today. That means he's done. He's out on the Raiders, and he's as embarrassed as he's ever been, because usually you would at least have like a small little emblem, like a little logo.
The shirt with the little logo.
Yeah, you usually wear that on game day. So before I ask you for the storyline, what the heck is up with your attire today?
No, that's it. I'm not. I don't want them to win. I want them to lose. So there's no reason to wear the shirt. I'm retiring for the year.
Okay, so you're
You'll see it again in the springtime.
Even if they win tonight, no Raiders shirt tomorrow.
No, I don't want them to win. No, I'm no Raiders shirt.
Okay, so what's the storyline coming out of this game that we'll be talking about tomorrow between the Chargers and the Raiders?
It's got to be something Khalil Mack related, and him getting like 1 million sacks against the Raiders once again, because he torments the Raiders. He likes to torment me. So it has to be something along those lines.
That's why I went to Stu first before Samter, because I knew Stu would give you something that is so zany and that no one else will give a crap about except the Raider fan. But that is the perfect analysis where Khalil Mack is going to torture you tonight and just go, like, the Chargers defense is not good. They have some good players, and Khalil Mack's having a very nice season, and that's the most like Raider fan ever. Like, who are the guys that we met at the draft that one year? One of them dresses up like the gorilla, the famous Raider fan. And then you also had that other guy, I think his name was Wayne too, where he dresses up in a bunch of garb. They would probably have similar.
Gorilla, right?
Yeah. They would probably have similar answers as Stu just gave you. So Khalil Mack is the story tomorrow, according to Stu. I can guarantee you this. We are not leading the show tomorrow talking about Khalil Mack. Samter, how about you? What's the storyline?
I got 2 words for you. Easton Stick. 4-time FCS champion at North Dakota State is going to step in. He's going to Wally Pip Justin Herbert. He's going to win out for the Chargers the rest of the way. He's going to be the future of the NFL. Easton Stick is the storyline tomorrow.
We may have to start drug testing Samter. I'm serious. You've been hanging out with Rodgers too much. What, in a few weeks we're going to get this notice from Samter that you're going into some cave and you're going to be doing ayahuasca on your own? Because there is no, I'm saying.
I'm on ayahuasca right now.
I could tell. I'm not saying that Easton Stick can't be a storyline tomorrow, because it has been the year of the backup quarterback. We have talked about more backup quarterbacks probably this year than any other year, where there's always been like an individual storyline of a backup quarterback to step in and have a really successful season. But there's so many backup quarterbacks that are actually playing well right now and are alive to go make the playoffs. So we could talk about Easton Stick tomorrow, but Wally Pipping Justin Herbert, they just gave him a new deal.
I'm going a little bit overboard because
playing
I'm trying
for the
to make it
cameras
more
a little
interesting.
bit.
But Easton Stick could be a storyline.
Okay.
I mean, listen, we've seen North Dakota State quarterbacks have success in the NFL, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
Carson Wentz for about 2 years.
Yeah, and listen, Trey Lance was a top 3 pick. He hasn't had success, but North Dakota State is a legitimate football program, and there's players who succeed in the NFL. All I'm saying is Easton Stick could look pretty good. We could be talking about him tomorrow as maybe he gets a shot somewhere.
I'm glad you brought up Trey Lance. We have not said Trey Lance was the talk of the offseason. The 49ers, he's going to get on the field. Is he going to be able to beat out Brock Purdy, usurp Brock Purdy? Then he gets traded to the Cowboys. And how wrong were so many members of the media that were like, this is the first step. Dak Prescott on his way out of Dallas, and now Dak Prescott's having and I don't think he should win the MVP, but he's having an MVP caliber season. I think there's 2 storylines that could come out of this game tomorrow. Number one, and I think this is already played out because it's embarrassing that he's still there, but Brandon Staley, they lose this game or they have another boneheaded decision. We already are all in agreement that Brandon Staley should be fired, but it would just be throwing more salt in the wound of the 7 Chargers fans that still exist, or it would just further be burying the dead body and digging deeper and deeper into the ground of the Brandon Staley era with the Los Angeles Chargers. So that's one. The other, I think there's a chance, and this has gone away because Antonio Pierce has come in. Even though the Raiders have not been really good, the chaos and the drama, since we already got the one domino to fall, and it was a big domino in Josh McDaniels leaving, that even when the Raiders play poorly, at least they like their coach now, and they respect their coach in Antonio Daniels. Antonio Davis. Antonio Pierce. Jeez, I'm talking about Antonio Daniels later. But regardless, I think a story could come out tomorrow with Davante Adams if he does not play well tonight or he doesn't get the targets. The further speculation maybe after the game, if he's embarrassed with the offensive performance once again, that maybe he sits there and maybe he starts to open up more as we're in the final few weeks of the season and set the foundation for an eventual departure from the Las Vegas Raiders. Because I do think there's a lot of people that believe that Davante Adams next year and in this offseason, even though, he left more money on the table in Green Bay to go to the Raiders, and he wanted to be a Raider, and he wanted to live close to home, and he wanted to see his family, and then also at the time play with his college teammate at Fresno State in Derek Carr. I could see a scenario where Davante Adams next year, after what is a crazy offseason, gets traded again, and he's playing for the Jets and reuniting with Aaron Rodgers. It would be very I don't want to compare this player to Kyrie Irving, but it would be very Kyrie Irving-like in terms of, right, Kyrie felt like he needed to leave LeBron. Then he left LeBron. Then he wasn't happy without LeBron because Kyrie's not happy about anything. And he tried his hardest to reunite with LeBron James the last 2 years and find a way to the Los Angeles Lakers. That could kind of be without all the drama and without all the craziness that is spewed from Kyrie Irving and all the anti-Semitism as well that came from Kyrie Irving. That could be the Davante Adams kind of approach this offseason in just terms of simply thinking, I got to get back to Aaron. I've already proved I could be an all-pro last year without Aaron Rodgers, and that was so important to Davante Adams. But if your goal is to go back to a quarterback that you're happy with, you could see him going and teaming up with Aaron Rodgers. The only thing I will say is, how much longer is Aaron Rodgers going to play in the league? So is this just like a hold-off, like a one-off, where Rodgers plays one more year, maybe 2 more years max, and then you go find another quarterback? Or do you try to identify a younger quarterback, I don't know, like a Patrick Mahomes that needs some wide receiving help, and maybe Davante Adams, which they would never do that, the Raiders trading him to the Chiefs, but you get the point. Maybe Davante Adams finds himself a younger quarterback that they could have a longer relationship since Rodgers is towards the end of the road. So those are, I think, the two storylines potentially emerging from tomorrow. Once again, us all dancing on the grave of Brandon Staley, and then potentially future destinations for Davante Adams. Now, in terms of Sunday, we have Dak Prescott and we have Josh Allen. This season, Dak Prescott is playing better football than Josh Allen. But for the rest of the season, and also on Sunday, who would you rather have? And my answer is still Josh Allen. Because if I put Josh Allen on the Dallas Cowboys, man, it would be very tough to sit here and say that the Cowboys aren't going to the Super Bowl. And Josh Allen, even though he's played in fewer years, he has accomplished more on the field, and he's been more feared on the field than Dak Prescott has. And even though Dak is having a really good season, and I'm not taking anything away from Dak Prescott, we all need to see if Dak could get the job done in the big moment, in the big game. Now, some people hearing that will say, but Zach, last time I checked, Josh Allen's ever been to a Super Bowl. No, you're not wrong. But there was that playoff run where Josh Allen in back-to-back games did things in the playoffs that some people don't even do in their career in the postseason. And that was just every drive getting the ball and scoring up against the Patriots. And the following week, he tossed at least 4 touchdowns to Gabe Davis. I forgot how many he actually tossed in the game, but he was not the reason why they lost up against the Kansas City Chiefs in that divisional round game, the famous divisional round game where Sean McDermott, with 13 seconds left, didn't do the squib kick, kicked the ball out of the end zone, and then the defense played way too far back and allowed Travis Kelce and company to get in field goal range to make the field goal and then get the game in overtime, and then Travis Kelce had the walk-off and all the euphoria in overtime. But I just trust Josh Allen more. And also for the rest of the season, I think Josh Allen is going to play some of his best football. Where, yes, last year we talked about Dak, too many interceptions. This year he's cut down on the interceptions. So credit to Dak. Josh Allen's always going to have a lot of turnovers because really, in the year of 2023, Josh Allen is a more athletic and a bigger version of Brett Favre. They ask him to do so much. They put basically all of it on his plate, and they ask him to take risks. And when you take a bunch of risks, and when all the food is on your plate, and they don't really share it with the great run game, you're going to have some fumbles individually. You're going to have some interceptions as well. But through all that, in every single thing that could go wrong pretty much has gone wrong on the field this year for the Bills. And there should be like zero reason to believe in the Buffalo Bills. And how many times they've been written off this season. They're a 7-6 football team. They are a 7-6 football team, and I actually expect them to be 8-6 after this weekend. And we've seen before. Doesn't happen every year. You know, it's like some years it's 1-1 in the Super Bowl or 1-2 or, usually division winners in the Super Bowl. But we've seen years before where the wild card team becomes a story. When you go back to the Green Bay Packers when they won the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. And this is a year where we sit here every Monday or Tuesday and we say there's not many great teams in the NFL, or whoever that team is that you fall in love with, and you say, oh, this is the team. Then the next week they go down, and then they go down the week after that. So in a year where it's still wide open, I think Buffalo can still go make a run. And the reason why I think they could go make the run is because of 17. And for the last 2 years, we tried to take some of that food off of the plate of Josh Allen. And you saw it sometimes this year. James Cook had a good game. Last 2-3 years, we've seen times where Devin Motor Singletary has got hot for 2 weeks. But now this team has their back up against the wall. And as I talked about earlier with Draymond, like Draymond knows he needs to change something in his career because he's not as good. But even with all that being said, you're going to do what you have always done in the past because your role and what you know best really defined what your career was and got you to a successful level. And I believe in these final 4 weeks of the season, Josh isn't going to be worried about how many times they hand the ball off. Now, I don't think Joe Brady's going to be worried about that as well. They're going to say, Josh, here is the football. We just need you to be good. And you just being good can find a way to get us in the playoffs and can find potentially a way for us to win multiple games in the postseason. So even though Dak is having the better season, I still think the better player is Josh Allen. And I think more people still fear Josh Allen than they do Dak Prescott in the year of 2023, advancing to 2024. Who would you rather have this weekend and the rest of the season? Is it Dak Prescott or Josh Allen? 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. We'll take a break here on the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. Malik Murphy is leaving Texas. Kyle McCord isn't going to Nebraska. And DJ Uiagalelei and Cam Ward are visiting Florida State. We'll do a little transfer portal update when we return. It is the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. Update time first. Here he is, Pete McCarthy.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
Well, Zach, Jalen Milroe is planning to stick at Alabama for his senior year of eligibility. Milroe making the announcement on the Next Round show. Milroe and Alabama, of course, readying for their college football playoff semifinal against Michigan at the Rose Bowl. Aiden Childs is not staying put at Oregon State. Childs joining his old head coach, Jonathan Smith, at Michigan State. Childs still has 3 years of eligibility. The Browns signed quarterback Joe Flacco to a one-year deal for this season. Flacco can make more than $4 million in incentives for winning, according to Adam Schefter. $2 million of that is for a Super Bowl win. Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith will practice today. Head coach Pete Carroll is hopeful that Geno will start on Monday night against the Eagles. A pair of 5-8 division rivals going at it on Thursday Night Football. Easton Stick making his first NFL start in place of the injured Justin Herbert for the Chargers. Vegas has the over-under on this game all the way down at 34.5. This is a dome game in Vegas. Kickoff at 8:15 Eastern. The Steelers' Alex Highsmith out of concussion protocol. T.J. Watt was just cleared yesterday for Pittsburgh. I'm Pete McCarthy.
CBS Sports Radio is turning up the heat this December. From the NFL playoff push, bowl games, and coast-to-coast action from the NBA hardcourt to the college game, we've got you covered.
CBS Sports Radio.
'You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's live. He's nationwide on CBS Sports Radio.
Doesn't take much to make the Pro Bowl now. Tyler Huntley made it last year. Mac Jones has made a Pro Bowl because about 8 or 9 say no. So you know what? Rewind. Proper reaction. Because about 17 quarterbacks will say no and Will Levis will get in. Hey, Derek Carr, you want to go to the Pro Bowl? I got asked. Really? Oh, yeah, I don't feel like doing it. Lamar Jackson, you're a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback. Do you want to go? No, I don't feel like it. All right, Deshaun Watson, you play like crap now. You want to go to Pro Bowl? Yeah, sure. Why? Like, Ryan Tannehill. Like, what are we doing, some of these quarterbacks?
This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
This portion of the show is brought to you by NHTSA. Whether you get pulled over or get into a crash, drinking and driving will change your whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA. Zach Gelb Show, CBS Sports Radio. So Samter and I were talking about this last night as it happened. Malik Murphy, who was highly sought after many SEC teams last year, and he could have left Texas and go somewhere else. He elected not to do that. He stayed at Texas, We know Arch Manning committed there, just spent his first year there. And then Quinn Ewers, obviously had to come back. And Quinn Ewers had a very successful season this year. And now Texas is in the semifinals where they're going to go up against Washington on New Year's Day. And the winner of that game will go off to the national championship. So we just had Fozzie Whitaker on. That was probably like 3-4 weeks ago. And he was the one that said, even if Quinn Ewers comes back, because the expectation is that Quinn Ewers, even though he hasn't officially said it, he's going to come back for one more season with Texas. Don't expect Arch Manning to transfer, but expect Malik Murphy to transfer. And Fozzie Whitaker was the same person before the season who told me, and this was like way in the off season, that he doesn't even think that Arch Manning was going to be the backup to Quinn Ewers this year, and it was going to be Malik Murphy. So he's a very successful former Longhorn. He is now part of the radio booth for the Texas Longhorn Radio Network. He's plugged in to all things Texas. And to no surprise, Malik Murphy the other day, I was actually surprised it took him this long, he goes into the transfer portal. Now, the interesting part about this isn't the fact that he has elected to go into the transfer portal, because next year, whether Quinn Ewers comes back or not, you're going to have really either Quinn Ewers be the starter or he goes to the pros. And if he does not go to, or if he does go to the pros, Arch Manning is going to be the next quarterback, even though Malik Murphy was listed in front of Arch Manning on the depth chart this year. But I was reading that Steve Sarkisian said, we support your decision to go into the transfer portal, and we want you to do what's in the best interest for you, but we'll leave the option on the table for at least you to finish out the season, which would mean being the backup quarterback in the semifinals. And Malik Murphy, who was very appreciative of Steve Sarkisian, had nothing but high words of praise, said, no, I'm going to go into the transfer portal now, and I'm going to start to look at my next team. And there'll be teams that are going to be interested in Malik Murphy. Like Ohio State, it looks like they're not in on Cam Ward. I don't know why, because Cam Ward's one of the hottest names on the market in the transfer portal for the guys that remain. You would think him and Ryan Day would be a good fit. So maybe Malik Murphy takes a look at Ohio State, or maybe, I don't know where else he'll go. Could Washington potentially be a fit? They're still going to need a quarterback because they're losing Michael Penix Jr. And, Oregon, and both those teams are leaving the Pac-12 anyway, and they're going to the Big Ten. Oregon just got Dylan Gabriel to replace Bo Nix. So maybe Washington makes sense for Malik Murphy. Maybe a place like Ohio State makes sense for Malik Murphy. But I do find it very compelling here, Samter, because could you imagine, and Quinn Ewers, it's not like we're just saying, oh, stay, and then someone gets hurt. Quinn Ewers got hurt last year. Remember when he had that nasty injury, and then Drew Brees looked like an idiot getting on social media saying, oh, you should go back in the game. This is what quarterbacks do, blah, blah, blah. And then this year, he missed some time as well with another injury. So it's not as if you've never had a quarterback there that hasn't got hurt, and the next thing you know, you go jump into a national or a semifinal game to maybe lead your team to a national championship game. Whatever offers you're getting now, NIL or whatever boosters are promising you, could you imagine what the stock of Malik Murphy would be if, let's just say, Quinn Ewers gets hurt with like 3 minutes left in the first half of the semifinal game up against Washington, and then Malik Murphy comes on off the bench and he lights it up. And he didn't light it up when he got in and when he took over this year. Like, he was fine, but he wasn't like, oh, wow, Malik Murphy's the stud. But if he lights it up, whatever your offers are now, you could double them. Even though schools are going to make their decisions, schools are going to go get their guys, but you'll be able to get a ridiculous amount of money. So I thought it was an interesting decision on that front, where I don't know how this works, but it seemed like from what I read, he could have still be like, go transfer, but then also finish out the year with this Texas team. And he politely declined that offer from Steve Sarkisian.
And we hear about college players all the time skipping bowl games because they're worrying about their future. I get that. But when your bowl game is the playoff, then not only are you screwing up potentially your future by not being able to play. Now, maybe Malik Murphy never plays, doesn't matter.
Yeah. But even if they run a trick play, like, right. Let's say, like, how many times you get into these big games and teams empty out their playbook there, and maybe they put Malik Murphy on the field in a wildcat situation with Quinn Ewers spread out to wide to the right, and then Malik Murphy makes a big play in the game. Like, even just off one play, your name, image, and likeness, like, shouldn't increase by a crazy amount. But in this world now, it does.
Well, and then not only is it just about the NIL and the amount of money and endorsements that he could potentially be losing by not playing in the biggest stage, but it feels like he's just quitting on his team. It's one thing to transfer.
You think that?
I mean, what if Quinn Ewers goes down? Listen, we all have faith that Arch Manning can step in, but, like, what have we really seen? Let's say it's the third or fourth quarter, and Quinn Ewers, who gets hurt a lot. He's been hurt every single year. He's been hurt multiple games in every year that he's played college football. What if he gets hurt in the third or fourth quarter? Now, listen, Arch Manning might step in and have some epic comeback or some great play that's epic and legendary, but at the end of the day, if you're Texas, you probably have more faith right now in Malik Murphy, and you're just quitting on your team. You're saying, listen, I have to focus on my future.
I can't say
Forget
it's
about
quitting,
what we've done this year.
Quitting seems a little severe to me. This is just the
He's
nature.
He's walking out on his team in the playoff. This isn't the CarQuest Bowl.
But he's not the starter. So in this world that we're playing out, Ewers has to get hurt, and he has to get hurt when the game is still a game, and then Murphy comes in and gets that opportunity. There's a chance that could be that could happen, and I just talked about it for the last 5 minutes, but I don't think it's likely. So I don't think it's quitting on your team. It's just doing what's in the best interest of yourself is the way that I would word it, and that's being like so many other kids in this sport now that aren't the starter at one place, won't be the starter next year, and he's trying to find that right partnership and that right duo for now that will elevate his success for not only the next year or two, but for future years down the road if he's going to be a professional football player as well. I think this is just making us, like, in a way, even though you could get more money and even though you could be a hotter commodity if someone gets hurt and then you play well, I think this is the safe business decision right now. And, like, we wouldn't say, like, I don't think you would operate this way. Like, someone entering the transfer portal right now, like, for example, Kyle McCord. Kyle McCord's entering the transfer portal right now, obviously isn't going to play for Ohio State in their New Year's Six Bowl. Did he quit on the team? No, he felt like he wasn't wanted there anymore, and he's electing to pursue his NFL or his college future somewhere else.
But again, I don't necessarily begrudge guys for giving up on even if it's a New Year's Six bowl game.
Say
like
that
if it's
10
the
times
Fiesta
fast.
Bowl or whatever. The playoff actually means for a championship.
Yeah. But he's a backup.
Winning the Sugar Bowl or whatever, it's nice, but it's not winning a national championship. And yes, he might be the backup quarterback, but the quarterback is the most important position on the field. So the backup is technically the backup of the most important person on the field. Oh. And so, I mean, listen, maybe there's a defensive tackle who is part of the rotation and maybe he only gets a third of the snaps. Would we be saying the same thing if he walked away? Yes, I would be.
No one else would. We wouldn't even be talking about the backup defensive
All-American
tackle
or a star defensive player who was
some Michigan running back just entered the portal because he's not even playing, and he's not going to go play in this run for Michigan. They could win a national championship too. The only reason we're talking about this is because it's a quarterback, and we've seen the quarterback play, and he'll be a highly sought-after quarterback in this transfer portal.
That Michigan running back is there's probably 9 other running backs on the roster. This guy has no chance to play. Or, I mean, you have 9 guys have to go down. One guy who has injury history has to go down at the most important position in the playoffs. It just feels like, transfer. What are you missing out by practicing with the team for a couple weeks? What's he going to be doing for the next few weeks?
Finding his next destination, going on those tours, finding that next school.
But you could do all that anyway. You could do that during this break anyway. There's a 3-week break. Go on your tours now. Cam Ward visited Ohio State. He's visiting FSU.
They're preparing for this game right now.
Right, but he could go visit these teams.
So they have, let's say this.
These other programs.
They have practice.
In between practices.
Yeah, well, hold on. They have practice on a Wednesday. And let's say Florida State hits up Malik Murphy. We want you to come visit our campus on that Wednesday. You're not going to go to practice? Then we're going to rip him for that.
I'm available Saturday when I don't have practice. I'll come on Saturday. FSU will say,
I don't think you could do both. You either make the decision to stay and stick through it, or you end up going. Man, you're really fired up about this. You're throwing things. You're losing your mind.
Again, I wouldn't care if it was any other bowl game. It just feels weak. Now, listen, at the end of the day, I think it's actually going to play out as fans. Great. Because if something happens to Ewers,
we get to see Arch Manning.
We get to see Arch Manning.
100%.
And if Arch Manning comes in and
Could
does
you
something
imagine?
amazing, and it's just like the legacy builds, then it adds drama also to next year. If Quinn Ewers does come back and Arch Manning had this great, wonderful moment, how do you say no to Arch?
Well, not only that.
With Ewers there.
It could kind of be like a Brady Bledsoe situation from 2001, because if you recall in that AFC Championship game, Brady suffered, I believe it was an ankle injury, and then Bledsoe came in, and Bledsoe, remember, was the highest paid quarterback at that point, throws a big touchdown pass in that game.
Was that David Givens?
I believe it was either David Givens or David Patton. I forget who. I think you're actually right. It was David Givens in that right corner of the end zone. And then from there, it was only a week, because remember, that was the same year of 9/11, so they took a week off. They only had a week in between the Super Bowl. And Bill waited until, Bledsoe's told me the story that Wednesday night, called them both in the hotel room and told them who was starting. But there was a big debate. And could you imagine the week debate or so that would happen if, let's say, Quinn gets hurt in the third quarter, it's still a close game, Arch Manning comes in, leads them to victory? Oh, and then is able to play in the national championship game? That would be one wild debate. Kyle McCord is not going to Nebraska. A lot of people still think Dylan Raiola is going to flip his commitment, go from Georgia to Nebraska, but we'll see. And DJ Uiagalelei and Cam Ward are both visiting Florida State. So that's the latest with the transfer portal. Phil Simms going to join us next. Zach Gelb Show, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's live. He's nationwide on CBS Sports Radio. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, hour number 2 of our radio program. That's right, it is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on CBS Sports Radio. Let's welcome in a Super Bowl MVP, longtime NFL on CBS broadcaster, and that is the great Phil Simms, kind enough to join us right now once again on the Zach Gelb Show. Phil, appreciate the time as always. How you been, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing okay. Had a little run-in with the floor a couple weeks ago, but I'm doing well now. And look at you, man. You've been lifting weights. You're getting all Oh, but it's good to talk to you, and I hope everything's going well for you.
You had a little run-in with the floor? What do you mean?
I fell down and hit the floor face first. That's why I got my glasses on.
Oh, okay.
If you can see, right? Oh, but I just got the stitches taken out, and it's doing better.
So is the real story here that Boomer Esiason just punched you in the face? Is that the truth there?
Well, if he punched me in the face, what would he look like after I got done with him, okay? How's that? Stop that dumbass story right away.
I can hear the headline from the New York Post now. Boomer Esiason punches Phil Simms, as revealed on the
somebody
Zach
said that.
Gelb Show.
Did you and Boomer get in a fight? And I went, oh, my God, please. No, we wouldn't do that.
Phil Simms here with us. Let me get your reaction. The last 3 weeks, it's been awesome with Tommy DeVito. How about what you've been seeing out of the Giants quarterback?
Well, it's been really good. I think this past game we saw on Monday night against Green Bay was the cleanest one he's played by far. But I think what surprised me, well, 2 things. You know, I saw him in training camp. I watched him at Syracuse. I saw him at the University of Illinois. And his arm strength looks better than it did in college. And his movement has been really good, too. So the Giants, just to talk about them, it's kind of like the league has slowed down, which it always does after a certain period of time. You know, wide receivers, pass rushers are not as explosive as they were just because of the duration of the season. But we're just seeing people come around. The receivers for the Giants, Jalen Hyatt, that looks every time I watch him. Wan'Dale Robinson. And then the other thing, the biggest thing of all to me is Kayvon Thibodeau. The fact that he is constantly getting after the quarterback. And, you know, Zach, you know as well as I do, if you can't hit the quarterback in the NFL, you're going to lose games.
No doubt about that. So people are like, I know it's a 3-game stretch. The kid's playing great. No one knows what to make of the future of Tommy DeVito. But that storyline is there, even though they just paid Daniel Jones. Some people don't believe in Daniel Jones. Like, do you think DeVito could take it to a level where he's challenging for Jones' spot next year?
Well, let me think about that. No. How's that? I mean, it's just, no, it's not going to, come on. Every backup quarterback that comes in the NFL now after a game, well, I don't know, but I think they found their guy, you know. Josh Dobbs, he might be the future of the Minnesota Vikings. No, Kirk Cousins just rips it up almost every single year, and they were on a roll, and that really hurt them. But it's amazing how quick we jump into that. No, Tommy DeVito, what he has done, he has shown everybody in the NFL and, of course, the Giants in live action that really counts, that he's really come through and played some good games. But, to me, he's just solidified himself probably on the team again next year, that's for sure.
If Daniel Jones could stay healthy.
But wait, Zach.
Yeah.
He won't be the starter unless Daniel Jones or whatever is not ready to go or something like that. But, let's just see how it plays out. But he's doing great so far, no doubt.
If Daniel Jones can stay healthy, what do you think he could still be, though, as a quarterback?
Well, I'm a fan. I liked him coming out of college. So I didn't, was I surprised he was the 6th pick of the draft? Yes, of course. But I thought he would go high, somewhere in the top 15 of the NFL draft. He's got everything you want as far as size. He can run. He's got a good arm. I think he's very accurate throwing the football. And it was just a mess this year for him. It really was in every aspect. And no matter who you are as a quarterback, when you're not getting protected or things are not going well, it can affect you. And I thought it did a little bit. But I don't know the future as far as what the Giants think of him and things like that. But I feel pretty safe in saying he'll be, if he's ready, which I don't know if that's a big question after an ACL injury. If he's ready, he'll be the starting quarterback at the start of the year next year.
Phil Simms joins us right now on the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. Big Ben was talking the other day about how the Steelers have lost their way and people don't fear the Steelers anymore. When you look at the current state of the Steelers, right, there's been a lot of questions about the Patriots as well with Bill Belichick. Do you think it would be a mistake if the Steelers look to move on from Mike Tomlin this offseason?
Well, I've never even thought about it, Zach. I mean, they're not going to move on from Mike Tomlin. There's no way. I hear it talked about sometimes, all that. They're not. Look, I think this about them. If their defense was completely healthy, they would be a tough out every single week. But they got some injuries over there. I think the Steelers finally, their offensive line starting to come around a little bit. And I kind of like it. I watch every one of their games. I think we overrate sometimes the talent around the quarterback. Oh, they got great skill people. No, they don't. It's good, but I never look at it and go, wow, Deontay Johnson and Pickens, they're just big time top 10 NFL wide receivers, which they're not. So, and you don't turn it around because we fire a coordinator, they're not going to explode on the offense right away. That takes off-season, training camp, creating new plays, new system, everything involved there. And to think you're going to change that during the middle of the year, it's just not going to work.
All right, you know it very well, right? You've had success, and then when you did go down, right, you saw Jeff Hostetler come in and have success as well. What has this been like, just wondering for you this year? Because we talked about it with DeVito. There's been now Joe Flacco, right? Jake Browning. There's been these backup quarterbacks that get these opportunities now, and they're really running with it this year. It's been wild to see.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I think I did it today, and I've already forgot the number, like 24 different starters this year across the NFL. I mean, some teams like Cleveland, 4 different starters. I think it's a good time of year because you know who you are and how to manage your team better for the backups to come in. But I think what we're seeing, and I talk about it all the time too, one, you should have truly 3 quarterbacks that you trust going into the season now. Okay, we're all over this thing that, well, we got a number 1, but we don't want to pay the backup any money, Zach, because we're trying to save it for the guy that runs down in the kickoffs on the outside or whatever, Mm-hmm. So, who was it that told me this? Pat Kerwin, who is behind the scenes at CBS. He goes, and I believe this, and if I was running the team, we would have it. 4 quarterbacks on the roster. 2 on the roster, whatever, and maybe 2 on the practice squad. Because for many reasons, to groom a couple of them, but as we see, 1 and 2 can get hurt in this NFL very easily. The speed of the defense just keeps going up, and the offensive line, the separation between them and the defensive linemen gets a bigger separation every single year. So if you're a quarterback in the NFL, I don't care what your offensive line is and anything, you're going to get hit. These defensive guys, no matter what rules we bring up and try to do, you're going to get hit as a quarterback, and a lot of times it's just luck if you can stay healthy.
Phil Simms here with us. Phil, Cam Newton the other day on his podcast, I'm sure you've seen it, called Dak Prescott game manager. How would you describe Dak Prescott as a quarterback these days?
Well, man, I tell you what, I would love to be a game manager like Dak Prescott. I mean, oh my God. That'll be my opening statement this Sunday on CBS. So it really will. He is on fire. He's leading the team. His energy is real. Mike McCarthy, what happened to him? He's like changed. And I'll tell you, but I really mean this too, Zach. He changed after they lost that game against San Francisco. And I can almost draw up the plays they did that game out in San Francisco. It was just something that everybody runs at the beginning of training camp. It was so basic. And now they've gone and they've opened it up. And Mike McCarthy is calling the plays. Hell, by the time they even tackle the guy on offense, he's already over there. Here we go, Dak. I got it already. And, of course, he's got a play sheet that looks like a New Jersey diner menu. I mean, is it unbelievable? But he's ripping through it. And hey, it happens in the NFL. You get in these grooves where it just works. And Dak Prescott, Mike McCarthy, the offense, everything about that side of the ball is really clicking. And like I said, if he's a damn game manager, I'd hate to see the guys that really go out there and can win games. I mean, that wouldn't even be Patrick Mahomes if we're doing it this way. So, no, he's not a game manager. He's much better than that. And, I'll say this too. He's throwing the ball better than he ever has in his career. More power. He's limber as hell. He's moving around, making plays, running and throwing. He's just a different guy than I've seen in the past. And I really think it changed after that Frisco game. And where he broke out was the Los Angeles Charger game. I think it was a Monday night or a Sunday night.
20-17.
Where we saw him move around and make some plays. And I think that's where the dam broke. They go, let's start doing more for him and make him the central figure of the offense. And he has carried it for sure. Did I answer the question?
Yes, you definitely did. Phil Simms. He never tiptoes around the question, never danced around a question. There's no doubt about that. Who is your MVP, though, right now with what you've seen? Is it Dak?
He's right there. Dan, we're getting into the Heisman Trophy thing. After week one, who's going to win it in college? The Heisman Trophy, what do you think? And, this MVP is just constant.
I think it's Tyreek Hill, personally.
Yes, if he can stay healthy, if he's, I was watching Mike McDaniels or reading what he said today. That made it a little iffy about where he is and do what's best for him and be careful because they need him for the long run and not just this week. But, yeah, I would say that too, that if it all stays healthy and he keeps on the trend that he's going, yes, you can see as we watch that game Monday night, when Tyreek Hill goes out, it changes the Miami Dolphins football team. Not just the offense. It changes everything about him, I think. But Dak would be right there, too, right now.
Also, when you look at Brock Purdy, your view of Brock Purdy right now is what? Is it similar to the Dak conversation when you hear people call him a game manager? You roll your eyes at that, or you put some validity behind that?
This game manager thing, stop it. What the hell is this? To be a game manager, you know how hard that really is? It's really hard. And people just throw the thing out there because they don't want to give credit to somebody. But to manage a game from the quarterback position along with the team and the coach to score and to really be thinking of all that is only for veteran quarterbacks. And but answering with Brock Purdy, but his guys catch it and run for extra yards. Oh, my God. Did we say that when Patrick Mahomes had Tyreek Hill and that receiving group when they were doing plays that nobody else did? Did we say, well, it's Patrick Mahomes, they're catching it, but look what they're doing afterwards? Some of these arguments are so stupid, I can't even get into it. But Brock Purdy makes really good decisions. And I was just watching the game yesterday probably, I can't remember. And he threw a couple of these, what I call, throw it in the bucket. That's what everybody says. It went over to the defender, came down right into the hands of his guys, and I counted 3 of them that I went, wow, those were the difference in the game. One of them is the Deebo Samuel, I think. He went across the field. But that was the difference in the game. So to call him a game manager, first, he's a better athlete than we give him credit for. He's bigger than you think. And his arm, it's not a rocket, but his touch and his feel throws great spirals. It's all really good. So I'm on the bandwagon with Brock Purdy.
How about
the guy that does their games?
Mhm.
God, I'm losing his first name. The big ex defensive player, Ryan.
Oh, Tim Ryan, yeah.
Tim Ryan, thank you. Tim, when they were in preseason, a couple years ago when he was a rookie, last year or 2 years, I remember him saying on the telecast, if he was 6'4", he'd have been drafted high in the first round. And I went, wow, that's an overstatement, but he's worked for the team. But he was at practice every day and he saw it, and and I heard some of the vibes coming out of there. I thought, oh, they're overdoing it. But now we see, Zach, that what he was saying was real. He's put it on the field.
Phil Simms, there's some years in the NFL where teams struggle the first 3 months and then they get hot in December, and the next thing you know, they're in the Super Bowl. Can you see the Bills being that team this year, currently at 7-6 with a big game this weekend up against the Cowboys?
The yes or no is no. I don't. I mean, I know if you're going in the playoffs or whatever, there's a couple teams you really don't want to see. The Bills would be one, like, out of no, oh my gosh, we're expecting a game where we're going to be really favored and have maybe an easy game. Not easy, it's never easy, but make mistakes and still beat this team. The Bills, I think the Denver Broncos, if they make it, wow, they're extremely dangerous. And I forgot my last team, who it was, Cleveland. But Cleveland's beat up, got a lot of injuries too, so those are hard to overcome. But the Bills, Zach, it's such a tough road, and I think their margin of error is so small. And but you never know. Quarterback, if they can protect him enough, he can get really hot. I do like what they've done the last few games on the offensive side. It's a little more diverse, I guess you would say. And I like it when they put Josh Allen under center. I think it's great. The play action game, but they don't do it enough.
Last thing I'll ask you, as Phil Simms is here with us, I just want your take on everything that transpired with Mahomes after the game, with all the complaining, with Kadarius Toney lined up off sides, and it ended up negating that crazy play, Kelsey throwing it back to Toney for the touchdown that ended up not being a touchdown.
Well, my favorite statement is, they robbed us one of the great plays and highlights. And I go, this is not by the Kansas City Chiefs. It's people on team. I go, it's not about you. It's about what's right or wrong. Look, it was an egregious lineup, basically offsides. And I'm sorry, but Kadarius Toney is a good player, or he has great potential, and they kind of need him to come through. And Patrick Mahomes and all them, how they reacted, and Andy Reid, that's just that was real. I mean, my gosh. I mean, thank God that the coverage wasn't back then what it is now. To me, with my mouth and some of the things I could say after a game, oh my gosh. But Patrick Mahomes truly is loved by almost everybody that follows football, and so he had a little outburst. And
this was the first moment he's really got some criticism, like in the majority of people criticizing him. That's how likable he is.
Yeah, you're right, but it's okay. Every once in a while you gotta get dirty. You got to get in there and just state your case. So I don't blame him. But I didn't look at it and go, wow, that they cheated the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, everybody's got all the records. Well, it's only been this and this. I don't know what else to say. Mm-hmm. You look down the line and you see it. I will say this to you, Zach. I watch a lot of games, even as I'm watching them live at CBS and trying to see things. I see illegal formations all the time. But they don't call them all because the rule is this: a blade of grass. So if there's even it's 99%, we're not, whatever. They call it, they usually give the offense the benefit of the doubt. And but the one with Kadarius Toney, I thought it was so evident or whatever that they had to call it. So it was tough, but you're always going to lose a couple tough games every dang year. And Kansas City, they still have the talent to get it done, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, this Sunday, we're all going to be tuning into the NFL on CBS, and everyone expects you to do one thing, and that's the Tommy DeVito celebration. Are we getting that this Sunday?
Hey, all I can say is I was getting ready to do it and didn't do it.
Can we get a little preview here? Come on, Phil, give us a little preview.
No, we're not gonna do it. I'm not going to, because you just can't do it right. But if I'd have grown up here in North Jersey, mm-hmm. I probably would have had to play linebacker because I don't like Italian food. I love it.
Okay,
love it. Oh my gosh!
I was about to have a heart attack here, Phil. If you said you don't actually love Italian food, okay.
the Italian food up in this area is better than New York City.
Yeah.
I tell them, no. But there's some mom and pop places here.
You're not wrong.
Oh, my gosh. I think it was 1980. My wife is from right up here where we live. And we went to an Italian restaurant. I was trying things. And said, oh, my gosh, this is awesome. It wasn't fried chicken and mashed potatoes and what we had down in Kentucky all the time. So it was great. And Tommy DeVito, the whole thing, good for him. It's a lot to overcome and keep your head clear as a quarterback. But I think just listening to him, and he's really playing it low key, which I respect, and good for him.
He's the great Phil Simms. Phil, appreciate the time as always. Thanks for doing this.
Back, you're the man. Keep lifting those weights, man. I tell you. Jack.
You got it. Thanks so much. There he is, the always kind Phil Simms, joining us on the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. Make sure you check out his podcast with his son. Sensational stuff and a good listen each and every week. All righty, we'll take a break here on the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. When we come on back, Giannis wants his game ball. We'll discuss all the craziness between Giannis and the Pacers from last night.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's live. He's nationwide on CBS Sports Radio.
There's morons and then there's Josh McDaniels as a head coach. And this jackass goes, "Oh, don't you talk about the Patriots that way." It is one of the more inconceivable things and laughable things that I've ever heard. The great Larry David couldn't even write that script of comedy. McDaniels must have known he was getting fired, and he was auditioning for Saturday Night Live. Because when I heard that over the weekend, my chest was hurting because I was laughing. I fell down. I hit the floor because Antonio Pierce came and saved your ass. And you go, "Nope, I'm going to throw more gasoline on the fire. How dare you, Antonio Pierce, talk badly about Bill Belichick."
This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Alrighty, this is Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. You got Bucks Lust. We'll talk about those Milwaukee Bucks right now. They finally got a victory up against the Indiana Pacers, where the Milwaukee Bucks have played them 3 times this season. Early in the year, Giannis had like 50-something points, and you saw the Pacers get a victory. And then in the semifinals of this fugazi and stupid and irrelevant midseason tournament, you had the Indiana Pacers take care of the Milwaukee Bucks. So last night, the Bucks finally get a win up against the Pacers. And not only that, Giannis Antetokounmpo had a 64-point performance, which is a franchise record for a single game with the Milwaukee Bucks. And you had Dame Lillard move into the top 5, moving past Kyle Korver for 3 3-point shots made in NBA history. So I've never thought about it this way, where after the game, Oscar Tshiebwe, right, the youngster for the Indiana Pacers, gets his first career bucket. And I guess the Pacers wanted to get him the ball, and Giannis was very annoyed with the Pacers. And I just saw this clip last night. It was the first time I saw it, where Giannis is running to the locker room as if he was going to go fight someone and say, "Give me my basketball back. You know, you don't take my basketball from me." And when I saw that, and it's just the way that we're kind of now programmed on X or Twitter, whatever we're calling this device now, where when you go on that app, there's so much bull junk on it, where there's so many fake things with AI and then things that get posted from years ago. Like Nick Saban, right? If you go to the Georgia-Alabama SEC championship game, there was a speech of Nick Saban after the game that was posted. Oh, look at the pregame speech Nick Saban gave Alabama before going up against Georgia. And I was watching that. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. This is unbelievable. This is great. And our pal Josh Booty sent it to me. And then I'm looking at the video, and I see all these comments. "Oh, this is an old video. It's an old video. It's an old video." And I texted Josh. I'm like, "You know this is an old video?" He's like, "No, I thought it was from the other day." And I said, "So did I when you first sent it." But then I looked at the comments underneath it. So when I first saw that video last night of Giannis, like, bolting off the court looking as incensed as he'll ever be for a guy that's usually pretty jovial and exuberant, and running into the locker room to go get that basketball, I'm like, "Oh, that can't be real. There has to be something else to this." And this just has to be a clip that's going viral now, which was from maybe last year or earlier in Giannis Antetokounmpo's career. But then you see this big story that's developing from this, and it just kind of shows you the state of the NBA. Like, rarely in the regular season do we talk about the NBA for actually what occurred on the court. Like when we're talking about the NBA, it's about Adam Silver giving out these medals for the in-season tournament champions, which were the Lakers. And now the Lakers are going to hang a banner, which is just a disgrace. It's like, oh, Draymond Green, oops, I did it again. Whether you're going to choke Rudy Gobert one week and then hit Yusuf Nurkic the next week. We'll also talk a little bit, I guess, about the Spurs and Victor Wembanyama, but they just lost their 18th game in a row, and no one's talking about the Spurs, right? You have one of the more exciting players in the sport in Victor Wembanyama, and everyone's curious to see what he's going to do, and no one's even talking about him. It's, Greg Popovich told the Spurs fans, right, Thanksgiving weekend to not boo Kawhi Leonard. So it's not really like we're talking about things on the court in the NBA regular season because the regular season product is so inferior, where you need something like a crazy tournament to talk about it, or a coach getting on a microphone during a game and telling the fans to stop booing, or Giannis getting in this fight over a game ball, or Draymond just doing something ridiculous, which is like, okay, tell me about another day that ends in Y. But this one is so crazy for like two reasons, because the behavior all around is petulant. But the other part about this, and Giannis is my favorite player right now in the NBA, and even I'm saying this behavior is petulant. But the other part about it is the only time I really can recall hearing about a player keeping a ball is in baseball. Like when someone hits a milestone home run or they get their first hit, you always see the ball thrown to the dugout, or then they go into the stands and you have like 10,000 security guards right around the guy that hits or that catches a historical home run ball. And then there has to be some negotiation that goes down in the locker room in the aftermath. And maybe you meet the player, you get season tickets, you get a few signed baseball bats and all that stuff. But I never knew, like in the NBA, and maybe this isn't traditional, that if you score your first bucket, like you expect the game ball, or even if you have a big moment like for Damian Lillard, and I don't even know if Damian Lillard wanted the ball. It's Giannis wanting the ball for Damian Lillard, or maybe that's how he spun it in the aftermath after what he did. But Dame moves into fifth all-time in the three-point list, so what, Dame wants that basketball? Or Giannis scores 64 points, a franchise record, he wants the basketball from that game? Like, Samter, you've been around for a while. Like, the only time I ever recall is talking about a ball being kept is in baseball. Like sometimes like a jersey in football. Like remember when Brady's jersey went missing after the Super Bowl, or like a Hall of Fame wants some gear from a game. But from a player getting a ball in a sport or a puck or something like that, like in hockey, you see that sometimes. If there's a legendary goal, they'll put tape on it and they'll write on it. But in basketball, I've never heard, and I didn't know that this was a thing, that you score your first bucket and you want your ball, or you have like a historical game and you want the ball from the game. That's what I was surprised that this was actually why Giannis was freaking out last night.
Yeah, I feel like I remember there being a big deal about the ball that LeBron scored the
most points of all time.
Most points of all time, that fadeaway jumper. Mm-hmm. But you're right.
But that's different. That's like, no offense to Giannis, what he just did last night, or Dame going to fifth all time or whatever it is.
Right.
That's nothing for most points in the history of the league.
Right. And up until Giannis talked about it after the game, I had no idea there was 2 game balls. So I didn't know this was a thing. Maybe it is a thing. Maybe there are players who have multiple balls in their like trophy.
Well, everyone's got multiple balls in the game.
First point and thousandth point. Who knows? Maybe players have that kind of stuff.
So they changed the basketball in the game, is what you're saying?
I think that.
Because you said there's 2 game balls. Like,
that's what Giannis said. I mean, I don't know. I guess that maybe, like, if they dribble the ball for a while, then maybe they'll use a different ball during a TV timeout to pump the other ball up or something. I don't know.
Because he's physically talking about the ball that they played with in the game. Like, in football, they do game balls and things like that, and they send you a commemorative football thing like that.
Go back and forth. There's a kicker's ball. There's a puncher's ball. Quarterbacks have 2 or 3 balls, right? If something goes into the stands or whatever, if a ball gets flattened, I don't think they pump balls up in the middle of the game because it's a very exact science, as you well know, Mr. Patriot.
Yeah, that's fine. Bunch of nonsense.
But yeah,
ideal gas law. Learn it. Study something in school.
I'll be honest. If you watch that game and you watch some of the clips from that game, It was very chippy. There was a moment where Tyrese Halliburton was running, after a shot, and Giannis just kind of gave him a forearm shiver, knocked him over. There was another play where Giannis went up for a shot, and he got tackled to the ground, basically. His brother was going crazy on the bench. The game was chippy. I think that Giannis was just pissed about the game. And
he wanted to make a bigger deal about it. But
he was just being petty. Like, you guys suck. I hate you guys. I want that ball.
Yeah, but in that regard, let me ask you this. Who deserves the game ball then? Like, let's say there's one ball here. Is it Oscar Tshiebwe, who it's his first career point? Is it Giannis Antetokounmpo, who I guess scored the most points in a regular season game for the Milwaukee Bucks? Or is it Dame Lillard, who is
definitely not Dame.
Now fifth all-time, moving past Kyle Korver?
Definitely not Dame, because it's fifth all-time, and he has a chance to keep moving up that ladder. So I don't think it's going to be Dame, because fifth all-time, it's cool, but with an all-time franchise scoring record, I guess I would give it to Giannis number 2, but I would give it to Tshiebwe first. I mean, his first
agree.
point, that's a pretty big deal.
Now, I could maybe argue you flip-flop Dame and Giannis, but I still think that the ball should go to Oscar Tshiebwe.
He's going to keep moving up the list. It's, scoring the most points in franchise history, that's a pretty big deal.
Now, I didn't see this, but this is what D-Cell told me during the break in the newsroom, that Richard Jefferson, I guess on his podcast or whatever platform he's on, I like Richard Jefferson. He's a good analyst, and I liked him as a player too when he started his career, when he was playing with the Nets, and I was able to watch him play a bunch. But he was saying if Giannis wanted to do the right thing here, because I guess Giannis got one of the balls back, and he's like, oh, I know this isn't the game ball. I know what the game ball feels like, because now he's an expert with what the game ball feels like. If Giannis wanted to do the right thing, Richard Jefferson was saying, buy the game ball from Oscar Tshiebwe. Like, you have all this money in the world. But the other part is, it's weird to me, and maybe some people get in a mind of thinking that they have all these cool moments and they want to remember some of these moments, but we're talking about a guy that has 2 NBA MVPs, has a finals MVP. You wouldn't think most points in a regular season game in franchise history is like a game ball that really needs to be on the trophy mantle, which makes me think that you're probably right, more so in regards to that it was from the chippiness of their 3 games this year that probably led to maybe Giannis getting a little bit out of character and being a little bit more of not a nice person, let's just say, to the Pacers compared to if this was another team. Maybe he would have been like, oh, let the youngster have the game ball. Let's hear from Giannis Antetokounmpo on all the game ball drama between him and the Indiana Pacers.
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. I have the ball, but I don't know if it's a game ball. It doesn't feel like the game ball to me. It feels like a brand new ball. Like I can tell, from I played 35 minutes a day. I know how the game ball felt. The ball that I have, which I'll take and I'll give it to my mom for sure, but I don't know if it's actually the game ball.
It's tough to rip a guy for the way that he acted when he goes, oh yeah, I'm going to give the game ball to my mom. That is a really savvy move by one Giannis Antetokounmpo, but it's actually even more savage by the Pacers. Giannis puts up this whole big stink about it, and you go, oh yeah, we'll give you a ball. Here's the game ball. We just made it the game ball, but it's not actually the game ball. I would actually respect the Indiana Pacers more. Here is Rick Carlisle, the coach of the Pacers, on the scuffle for the game ball with the Pacers and the Bucks.
I don't think any punches were landed, but my general manager got elbowed in the ribs by one of their players. And so he certainly has a bruised rib, and who knows, if it's anything more than that.
This is the most absurd thing ever. If that's true, that the GM of the Pacers now has bruised ribs because he got a little elbow to the ribs over a stinking game ball, everyone's just so ridiculous. That really sums up the NBA regular season. Just how stupid the NBA regular season can be at sometimes. This is going to be a top 5 talking point of the regular season, this game ball. It shows you how pathetic the regular season is in the NBA.
I'll tell you this, though. We've always said this. The NBA regular season doesn't start until Christmas. Christmas Day is the official start of the NBA season.
What about the midseason tournament? I thought that was supposed to be this big deal.
It might change, but until that picks up a little bit more steam, it's Christmas. And then after Christmas, then, you get the NFL playoffs, and whatever, but then the NBA starts ticking up a little bit more. Around the All-Star break especially. End of January, early February, that's when the NBA really starts heating up.
Well, it is beginning to feel a lot like Christmas. We are right around the corner in the whole Christmas theme, as Christmas is right around the corner. I actually like Christmas. Even as a a Jew. I thoroughly enjoy Christmas. I find it very, very fun. And there are some years where I have some family members that aren't Jewish where we do celebrate Christmas with them. Christmas is one of my favorite holidays, even though I don't celebrate it every year.
Do you eat turkey on Christmas?
No. No one
Delicious turkey?
No one actually likes turkey, all right? You just fall in line with all these traditions and you're brainwashed. And then if you come over to the actual right side, I'm not even going to say the dark side, and you eat some lasagna on Thanksgiving, you'd be better off for it. You'd actually be in a happier mood.
I'm more of a light meat fan, not a dark side fan.
Like put it this way. You're a grump and a grouch. Boyle's a grouch. You guys both have one thing in common. You eat dried, disgusting turkey on Thanksgiving. All righty, this is Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. And I don't want to be this guy because I was once the guy that was shamed for my attire when I would show up for a shift when I was doing the 2 to 6 a.m. overnight and Boomer Esiason yelled at me for wearing shorts to work. Pat Boyle, where the heck were you right now? It's in the middle of December right now. It's as cold as cold could be in New York City, and you're wearing shorts to work? Were you coming from the gym?
Yes, actually.
Were you?
Hello,
I don't know. It looks like you were
by
coming.
the way, Zach.
Yes, it looks like you were coming from the barber shop. Actually, that's a fresh cut.
Yes. So I was at the barber shop, and I get a phone call from one of our esteemed bosses, David Marinick,
Okay.
and he asks me to help out do the update shift.
Did Dak call out sick?
He did.
Oh, I was wondering why the heck you were here today.
Yeah. So I just sat down and
we love
chat
when
with
you're
him.
here.
I couldn't
Okay.
stay away from the studio.
So that is actually fair. You got called last second. You were dressed how you were dressed, didn't have time to go home, and then you show up this way to a shift. I will not then shame you like Boomer Esiason once shamed me for walking around the studio with shorts.
I think Boomer has shamed everybody here at one point or
Yeah,
another.
but some people,
in a good way.
Some people deserve it. Like there was some jackass that was sleeping on Boomer Esiason's couch and taking a beer out of his fridge. I don't know who that was.
Who did that?
His name was like Hat Oil or something. Oil Boyle.
That was a long
I forget
time
what
ago.
his name was.
I've grown up since then.
You have. You've matured. You have.
But
some people come in here, they think they're the big man on campus. They get humbled very quickly. They never change. You adapt. You found a way to get better. And I think now you're respected amongst many of your peers here at CBS Sports Radio and WFAN.
Speak for yourself.
I appreciate that. I did not see us going down this road so early on here.
No.
So I was getting a haircut. Then I was going to go to the gym. And I was like, do I really want to skip the gym? Or because all this weekend, I'm going to be eating like an absolute pig.
Yeah.
So, like, dude, once I get close to Christmas, you say you love Christmas?
Yeah.
And the holiday season?
Well, Thanksgiving starts it.
Yeah. I don't know why.
It starts the
And
fatness.
I did. This is probably just human nature. Like, starting December 1st to 25th, any sense of, like, having a diet or sticking to anything, out the window.
Well, and also,
Out the window.
a lot of it's mental because you could wake up feeling like a fat you-know-what, and then someone gives you a compliment. Like Phil Simms just joined us a few moments ago. He said, I'm looking jacked. He said, I'm looking good. I said, thank you very much, Phil.
He buttered you up.
Now I got buttered up. And this Saturday, when I go to the Poconos, I'm going to be eating a lot of wings. I'm going to be a fat pig. It is the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. Update time. Here he is, Pat Boyle.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
All right, Zach, Thursday Night Football tonight, and boy, do we have a blockbuster. Justin Herbert out for the season, so it's Easton Stick and the 5-8 Chargers against Aiden O'Connell and the 5-8 Raiders. Please, contain your excitement. Seriously, Easton Stick spoke ahead of tonight's game and says moments like this, for his career start, that's what you dream about.
This isn't how I envisioned it, but, when they selected me 5 years ago, this is what you want as a kid, is opportunity to go play, and so I'm excited for that.
Stick went 13-24 for 179 yards, no touchdowns, and 1 turnover after coming on for Herbert in last week's loss to the Broncos. It was only the second game he's ever played in. Injury report for tonight, first-team All-Pro running back Josh Jacobs' status very much in doubt because of a quad injury, according to Ian Rappaport. Receiver Devontae Adams has been dealing with an illness but is expected to play. Keenan Allen, by the way, he'll miss his first game of the season. He's ruled out with a heel injury. Raiders are 3-point favorites. In college football news, Alabama QB Jalen Milroe is returning to the Tide for his senior season. Meanwhile, after Coach Jonathan Smith's departure to Michigan State, one of the top players in the transfer portal is joining him. That would be his former backup QB at Oregon State, Aiden Childs. I'm Pat Boyle.
Jim Rome here. Friday in the Jungle, gambling icon Billy Walters and Oklahoma men's basketball coach Porter Moser. Plus, Alvin's Week That Was, Friday, 12 noon Eastern, 9 Pacific.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
And this portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. Let's start off with Travis Kelce on his New Heights podcast. This is Travis Kelce on the Kadarius Toney offside call.
He lined up like that all game, didn't get warned, blah, blah, blah. Don't call it in that position. You can't put it in the ref's hands in that position. I love KT. If we get the opportunity again, I'm going to throw that right into his chest again. Hopefully he gets there. And I got all the faith in the world, that dude. He's one of our best players, man. So everybody hating on KT right now, man, I'm not trying to hear that you can miss me with it.
I understand defending a teammate, but then there's just being delusional. Like, I respect him defending his teammate, but to say he's one of their best players. I know he had 2 massive plays in the Super Bowl last year, but let's pump the brakes. Kadarius Toney has potential. He has not consistently met that potential yet. And also, he lined up off sides. That's the other thing. It wasn't just by a hair. He was significantly off sides. And you know what'd be really funny? Oh, I can't wait. Chiefs are in a big playoff game this year. And Travis Kelce goes, I want to show everyone who's boss. And he throws it to Kadarius Toney, and then Toney drops the football, and it gets a turnover, and they run that lateral play once again, and it doesn't work this time. Oh, that would be very fitting for the Chiefs season to end that way. And it would be a lot of karma with all the bitching and complaining they've done this week. I didn't know that Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, was asked about the Kadarius Toney offside call. Here's what the commissioner said.
I find it ironic that I'm standing here answering a question about the officials got it right and they're being criticized. I think it shows you how difficult it is to do their job. I understand that and understand it comes with the job, and I understand the officials understand that, but I'm incredibly proud of not just what they did at that game, but also what they continue to do.
It is funny because usually when we're talking about officials or slamming officials, it's because they missed something or they got a call so blatantly wrong. In this case, they got it right, and there is a minority of people, I don't think it's a majority, but a minority of people that are being extremely loud in crushing the officials for getting it right. Like, could you imagine Stu? Stu shows up to work, he always does the right thing, and then we're like, Stu, you did too good of a job today. You enforced the rules, you made sure everyone got into the studio on time, out of the studio on time. You know what, Stu? You're bad at your job because you actually did the right thing. That's what it sounds like with all this just dumb commentary from people that are going after the refs. It'd be one thing if they got it wrong, but they got it right, so therefore there should be no criticism of the officials. Here is Najee Harris on Big Ben the other day on his podcast saying the Steelers have lost their tradition and no one fears the Steelers anymore.
Ben could have his opinion about something. I'm not trying to sit here and say he's right or wrong. I don't know how to answer that. Ben is a Hall of Famer. Ben obviously been here, won a Super Bowl. He knows what the standard is. He been here with Troy. He been here with Rome. He knows that really. So, if somebody outside sees that, you kind of could guess and say maybe he's right.
It is pretty damaging when Ben says it, because there's a few Steelers, right? Mean Joe Green being one of them. And Big Ben for the modern day fan or like the fan of the last 15, 20 years, when they open their mouths, it's like whatever they say is gold. Like, I had Mean Joe Green years ago say something, I think it was about Chase Claypool not being professional, and it went viral. And everyone was like, yep, this is what Mean Joe Green is talking about. He's 100% right. And for the Steeler fan of just last 15 years, when Big Ben says something, it carries a lot of weight, because he was their franchise quarterback and he won 2 Super Bowls. So there's nothing really Najee Harris, who's not is a nice guy, but is not in the great graces of the fan base, can really say, because if you want to be that guy that goes against Ben, it's not going to be something that turns out well for you. And not only that, it's like, yeah, no one does fear the Steelers anymore. Like, we all look at the Steelers, they finish above 500, they have a fine team, but no one actually predicts them to go to the Super Bowl, because it's been a long time in Steelers standards since they won a playoff game since 2016, or since they even got to their last Super Bowl. Let's go to Jalen Milroe. I don't think anyone thought he was going to the NFL, but he made that clear on the Next Round Live. Here is Jalen Milroe when he's asked if he was returning to Alabama.
Do you feel comfortable announcing you're coming back next year? Right here on the next round. Alabama fans would love to hear this.
Yeah, I'm coming back for my senior year.
Oh, there we go.
Whoa. Breaking news. Flash the lights.
Whoa,
Breaking news.
look at that.
From getting benched to now potentially leading Alabama to a national championship game, depending on what they do up against Michigan. He's been one of the best stories in college football this year. Here's the Heisman Trophy winner, Jaden Daniels, on with Barstool Sports. Go ahead.
I'll name a list of random cities throughout the United States, just completely random cities, and you're going to tell me which one is your favorite. Washington, D.C., New York City, Boston, Atlanta, and Las Vegas.
Random cities.
Las Vegas.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Right. Very
Interesting. Again, this was random. This was totally random, the cities we just listed.
It's a great question to ask, because then you know what the headline is. Jaden Daniels says he loves Las Vegas. Will he be the next quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders? That was a great job from the guys at Pardon My Take in asking that question, because it's such a funny question to ask with all those potential destinations.
They didn't ask about Chicago. I'm surprised they didn't mention Chicago as a city.
Because too high up.
2 picks.
He's not going to be the number 1 overall pick. They're going to use that number 1 overall pick on the quarterback.
No, but Chicago's got like the 7th or 8th pick, too.
Yeah, maybe Big Cat just doesn't want him being a Bears fan.
Just saying.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Did I hear Foxborough there? No, Massachusetts?
I did hear Boston.
Okay, just making sure. I would love to see him. Bill Belichick, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jaden Daniels, who says no? I'm good with that.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's live. He's nationwide on CBS Sports Radio. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
And away we go, hour number 3 of our radio program. That's right, it is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on CBS Sports Radio. There is no buzz, there is no hype, there is no juice about this potential Thursday night football game tonight with the Chargers and the Raiders. Easton Stick is going to be the quarterback for the Chargers, and for the Raiders, it's going to be Aiden O'Connell. Woof. That is brutal. Like, who do they market for the game tonight? It's usually offensive players. Like, if they were, I guess, Devontae Adams with the Raiders, and then with the Chargers, is it Khalil Mack who they would go with? I guess it would be Khalil Mack, because Austin Eckler's having a miserable season. Herbert's hurt, and he's donezo for the year. And on the offense side of the ball, like, Keenan Allen's a solid player. I think it would be Khalil Mack.
This is the Max Crosby Khalil Mack show.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, Crosby's a very marketable person as well. I'm a big fan of Max Crosby and what he's been able to do to overcome things as well. He's a sensational player. Like, is it weird to, like, Stu, do you think, like, we all know how great Max Crosby is, but nationally, is this guy still underrated? Because the Raiders, on the NFL Top 100 list, they do have 3 top 15 players that are voted on by the players in Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, and Max Crosby. But when you talk about the best defensive players in football, people will still say Aaron Donald. People will say Myles Garrett. People will say T.J. Watt. They'll say Micah Parsons. Max Crosby's deserving of being in that conversation. And I feel like with a national dumbed-down scale, a lot of people don't put Max Crosby in that conversation.
Yeah, I think it's because he's playing on the Raiders and playing on a team that isn't very good. But I agree. I think he's definitely top 5 to 6 defensive players in the league. And, I mean, he plays every play. He rarely comes out. You know, obviously when he's hurt, he'll come out. But I think he had like a streak of playing like every snap this year up until like 2 weeks ago. He's just incredible. He's wonderful.
And also, this is going to sound like it's a disrespectful comment just with the way that I talk about this person. But he does have a little Derek Carr in him. And what I mean by that is that he actually loves playing for the Raiders. Like, Carr, I find, could be obnoxious at times. I think he tries to make it out that he's a whole lot better player and he should be held in a class that he's just not deserving of being. but no one could question the actual love that Derek Carr had for the Raiders before, they got rid of him and Josh McDaniels happened and all that stuff. Crosby, you could tell, even though he deserves better, not probably deserves better.
Definitely deserves better.
Does deserve better, that he loves this organization somehow, some way.
There's no doubt.
I don't know what they serve in the smoothies that they give out to the players.
They're in Vegas, and the fans are awesome. The fans,
sure.
How many fans would travel from one city to another with that team?
No, I understand what you're saying. And there's some great fan base. Like Eagles fans travel everywhere. Steelers fans travel everywhere.
I mean travel when a team moves. Right?
Oh, gotcha.
How many fans would did Houston
Not Rams
Oilers
fans.
Did Houston Oilers fans follow the Tennessee Titans?
Mm-mm.
Did Cleveland Browns fans follow the Baltimore Ravens?
No, a little complicated there, especially with the way that ended. No way.
Did the Baltimore Colts go to Indianapolis?
No.
Most teams don't switch cities.
No.
Raiders fans have followed them to Vegas. And that's a crazy fan base. That is a loyal, fun fan base. And say what you will about the Davis family and Mark Davis and how
they've been losers for the last
down.
20 years too.
Yeah, it's a fun franchise. It may not be a winning franchise lately, but it's a fun franchise.
No, but to that point, even though we have all worked maybe in some places that are fun places to work in, but when you have a toxic culture and all you do is lose, lose, lose. Selfishly, even though you enjoy maybe the people you work with, you may say to yourself, and you enjoy the support you get, you go, man, maybe I go to another team and maybe I go to another organization that is a whole lot better.
I do like that song, All We Do Is Lose, 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 no matter what.
That's all they do. All they do is lose. It's crazy.
You got a bunch of losers on this side. I'm a former loser here. I mean, now that my team is going to win the Super Bowl this year. But
quite frankly,
Jets and Raiders, a bunch of losers.
The Chiefs have become a loser ever since you joined the bandwagon.
Just wait.
Mike the Mush.
We're the Golden State Warriors of the regular season. We kind of lollygag through it, and then once we get to the playoffs, we turn it on. Super Bowl, championship, back-to-back. Tom Brady, watch out. Patrick Mahomes is coming after you.
I actually think it's one of the more gutless things I've ever seen someone do. Abandon the Jets. And I get it. The Jets, you'll hear more about them coming up later on my Zach Gelb Show PSA since it's a Thursday. Because I am very annoyed at the Jets for one particular reason. And I'll get to that in a little bit. But you have been a Jet fan your entire life. And you've been through so much crap. In the year you get Aaron Rodgers, even though he gets hurt, and he's going to be coming back for them next year, you have dreamed of getting a quarterback that is of the caliber of Aaron Rodgers, even if it's only going to be for maybe another year or two max. For you to leave now and go join the Kansas City Chiefs and be a fan of the Chiefs' kingdom, that's one I just don't get. I really don't. I understand you have been tortured, you have suffered, but you're getting Rodgers next year. And I know sometimes Rodgers could be insufferable, but separate what you think about Rodgers as a human being and what Rodgers says, and now it's sometimes tough to keep up with some of the things that he says. The football player, Aaron Rodgers, is like a god in the football world. And that's why I don't get why you jump ship now.
I didn't jump ship when we got Aaron Rodgers. I jumped ship 4 plays into the season when he got hurt, and I realized that the football gods will never allow me to find joy as a Jets fan. Again, they're punishing us for what Joe Namath said before Super Bowl III and guaranteeing that win. The football gods have punished us ever since, and it's not worth the heartache. I got a beautiful daughter at home who just turned 1. I got beauty and fun and joy in my life. Why allow myself to continue to be tortured and brought down by a franchise that sometimes by their own fault,
but you're
sometimes not by their own fault, just continues to just break my heart. It's just not worth it.
But Stu, let me talk to a logical human being right here. He doesn't realize that the Chiefs, if we would have said before the year the Chiefs would lose 5 games, everyone would say you're crazy. We're now going to week 15. They've already lost 5 games. I think we have a link here. The Jets are a losing organization when Samter roots for them. And now they're turning into a bunch of losers once again when Samter goes and joins Chiefs Kingdom. So you're the problem.
Don't forget, the Chiefs also lost week 1 before I joined and jumped on. When I jumped on, the first 2
to the Lions.
They went on a 6-game win streak when I jumped on that bandwagon. They were 6-1. thanks to Mike Samter jumping on that bandwagon. And then, look, listen, they
I don't
faltered,
accept
but
your
again,
results.
you know, whatever, it happens.
I don't accept the results of the things that you're saying.
I'm just stating fact, brother.
Yeah. Stu?
And by the way, for your earlier question, Prime Video tweeted out 7 hours ago.
Oh, hold on. Is this the
yes,
marketing?
the two players, yes.
Raiders is Devontae Adams, right?
Yes.
Is it Khalil Mack for the Chargers?
It is Khalil Mack.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I know Bosa's injured, but I thought maybe they'll put Bosa on there.
Ready to put on a show is the slogan.
Yeah. What, they're going to put Al Michaels to sleep tonight? Like, if I'm Al, I'm going to the early bird special tonight, and I'm getting very intoxicated for this game, maybe having a few scotches, maybe hitting a little bit of a pen and having a nice steak dinner. And I don't care. Like, NBC gave up on him now. And I know that his employer now is Amazon Prime Video, and this is an Amazon Prime game. I'm saying, Kirk, this is one that you're going to earn your money. Herbie, carry me. Carry me on this one, and I'm getting as intoxicated as possible if I was Al Michaels.
I will just say this. Khalil Mack has 15 sacks.
He's great.
Hold on. He has 15 sacks.
He's going to get 20 by the end of tonight.
He had 6 against the Raiders earlier in the season.
Mm-hmm.
He could break Strahan's record tonight. That could be what we're watching. He could be on sack number 8 and working on Strahan's record.
I hope that doesn't happen. Here's why. Because then we're going to have to go on a search for a new board op because Stu would be dead. So Stu wouldn't even make it to work tomorrow.
No, this is good. Tank for the higher draft pick. This is great.
But you would be dead. Like, if Khalil Mack breaks the sack record tonight, he's at 15 and it's 22 and a half, right? With Strahan. If that happens and he gets to 23 tonight, you will physically die. I will have to go get a black suit, and I'll have to go to your funeral in 2 days and have to eulogize you.
Listen, he could break 2 records in one night. If Khalil Mack breaks the all-time record, which is 22 and a half sacks,
First football player to
means
kill
that
a
he's
fan.
going to break Derek Thomas's single game record also, 7 sacks. Let's go, Khalil Mack, 8 sacks. I'm calling it right now.
Can we bet on that? There's got to be an over for Khalil Mack. I think that's my one bet on the game tonight. I'm taking the over on whatever the Khalil Mack sacks are in this game because it is going to torment and literally kill Stuart Kovacs. But tonight, you look at these two teams. You know they're starting quarterbacks. Well, Aiden O'Connell is now the starter. Stu, do you think they should go back to Jimmy G? Like, at this rate, Aiden O'Connell's not the guy. We all know that. You paid Jimmy G. There's a chance Jimmy G is starting game 1 next year, even though we all know that this was a Josh McDaniels decision just because of where the contract is. Wouldn't you just go back to Jimmy G and put him back on the field and have him play the final 4 games of the season? Or is that's McDaniels' guy? I want no part of it.
They're both terrible. I don't want any part of Jimmy G, and I guess I don't really want part of O'Connell either. I'm kind of hoping for a rookie quarterback.
That's why I think you need to go to Jimmy G for the final 4 games.
Because he'll be the guy that probably starts next year no matter what, and then they'll go to the rookie.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of player props, not to cut you guys off. I don't do a lot of player props, especially not with sacks. But the Khalil Mack over-under for sacks tonight is .75.
Oh,
so
my God.
So just one sack?
He just needs a sack.
Uh-oh. That's it?
But, it's the same thing like the 30 with the Patriots and the Steelers. It felt like it was too good to be true. Vegas knows something, right? .75 sacks. It feels like he's going to get 9 tonight, but, maybe he doesn't get one.
He kills the Raiders ever since they traded him. There's no way he doesn't get at least 1 sack unless he gets hurt or something like that.
I think this is the easiest. Is this the first time we're all going to join forces together and make a show bet? We have not, since I have been here, since September, we have not made a show bet where for the good camaraderie of the show, we have all joined forces together. I think this is a good night, and it's something easy to root for. It's just one time Khalil Mack has to get through that Raiders offensive line and sack the quarterback. I think, guys, I'm in on it. Stu, you in on this tonight?
I'm in.
And Samter, I'm assuming you're in on this as well.
Week 13 last year, December 4th, at the Raiders. 0 sacks for Khalil Mack. I'm just saying it could happen. You know what? If you guys are both going with the over, I'm gonna go the other way.
Of course he is.
No, but that's good.
I'm going with no
That's
sacks.
good.
I'm going
because
with no sacks.
When all 3 of us are on something, I usually tell the listeners to fade us, because whenever that happens on anything, right, all these shows now, like Scott Van Pelt, when he's doing the Monday Night Football, he goes up, everyone's picking one team. I'm going to be the other guy so we don't get clowned. That's good. You're playing the SVP role.
Yeah, so, it's either A, if we all pick one thing, fade the other way, or whatever Samter picks, just fade the opposite. So,
pretty much.
Yeah.
I say that you have this negative kind of juju with you.
Mush.
Well, yeah, a mush. Whenever you go from one football team to the next, they end up losing. I think also I have some negative buzz around me too, because whatever producer I get paired with here at CBS Sports Radio, the producer just makes the worst picks in the world, and they always end up being wrong.
I will say this: if you were ever to listen to someone making picks and use those
to fade them,
use those picks to
it's hickey
to make to make your own picks. Like if you're going to listen to anyone about picks, I'm the last person ever. I do not care at all about betting. Mm-hmm. I don't ever gamble. I've played fantasy sports a few times, but I've never actually gambled on a line with points, spreads, over-unders. Never. Don't care. Don't pay attention to it. So never listen to anything I say about that
Well, what
stuff.
I'm saying is that's why people should listen to Hot Take Hickey. And you just fade everything he says. I've never seen someone be so adamant about his predictions. And this is going to happen. This team's going to crush this team. And it always goes the other way. You know, he looked at me last week, and he during the break, he said to me, "Are you crazy?" I go, "First off, you're telling me I'm crazy about a prediction when I said the Bills would beat the Chiefs." He goes, "If that happens, I'll shake your hand." I never got the handshake on Monday, by the way. But that's how confident he was that Kansas City was not only going to beat the Bills, was going to smother the Bills. The moment he said that, I go, I'm placing even more money down on the Buffalo Bills on the money line. And it ended up panning out well. It was a good weekend for yours truly.
Yeah, the top 5 Take 5 Wednesday Bills. You're going to regret that one.
No, I'm not.
They're not even making the playoffs.
The Bills will make the playoffs.
They're not a top 5 NFL team, not going to make the playoffs in the AFC.
And the Bills are going to be a threat come postseason time. And you'll see. Everyone on Monday is going to be saying, here comes the Bills.
You're saying that the Bills are going to win a playoff game?
Oh, yeah.
Are they going to win the AFC East? Are they going to come back and take over the Dolphins?
No, the Bills will not win the AFC East. There's a chance because the Dolphins have a very tough schedule. But the Bills will be a playoff team, and the Bills will win a playoff game this year. This AFC stinks. You got the Ravens, you got a Chiefs team, and then everybody else, it's like, oh, we like you one day, then we hate you the next day.
The Bills are 11th in the AFC. You're telling me they're jumping 5 teams?
But look at the separation from 3 to 11 right now.
Sure.
Everyone's like grouped together. What is it, from 8 wins to 7 wins is all 3 through 11 right now?
Sure.
So I'm telling you, this is a down year in the AFC.
Here's what's going to happen. They got the Cowboys, Chargers, Patriots, and Dolphins left. You know the Pats are absolutely winning that game.
No. Here's why. The Patriots already beat them once this year. They're not beating them twice. There's 0% chance they beat them twice. So
that's a possibility.
3 out of 4.
All right.
Bare minimum, they're winning out of these
when
final 4 games.
When they lose by 30 to the Cowboys and Dak Prescott.
Yeah, then I'll be wrong.
Yeah.
Then I'll get on the air and I'll say I was wrong about the Buffalo Bills.
We'll see.
But I'm latching on to the Bills, and I sprinkled some money on a plus 1,000 on them. Didn't bet $1,000, but I sprinkled some money at plus 1,000, and they're my dark horse to get to the Super Bowl out of the AFC. The NFC, it's going to be what? 1 of 3 teams, probably the 49ers, but it's either the 49ers, the Eagles, or the Cowboys. No one else in the Super Bowl is getting into the Super Bowl out of the NFC.
I mean, you're already shutting the door on the Lions?
Yeah.
Shutting the door?
Yes. And I was like the most pro-Lions person back in October. You know, I was starting to say they were a Super Bowl contender.
I've lost faith, but I'm not shutting the door on the Lions.
I think their Super Bowl would be winning 1 playoff game this year. And now they're not going to have an opportunity to get 2 playoff games. Like there was a while we thought, they'd be the 2 seed. You get 2 playoff games, then they're in the NFC title game. That's not going to happen. And once they get out of their own building, big problem when they get out of their own building. So it is Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. Get ready for Aiden O'Connell tonight up against Easton Stick. Jeez. We need a stick to stab my eyes out tonight when watching this game. Al Michaels will probably feel that way too. Antonio Daniels going to join us on the other side. Was the NBA right to indefinitely suspend Draymond Green? And also, what's going on with Zion Williamson? We'll talk to Antonio Daniels next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Now back to the Zach Gelb Show.
All right, and we continue. It is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on CBS Sports Radio. We'll talk some hoops right now. We'll do so with one of my favorite basketball analysts. Does a great job, SiriusXM, and also as a TV analyst for the Pelicans. And that is a NBA world champion with the San Antonio Spurs back in 1999. And that is Antonio Daniels here with us. Antonio, always great to see you, my man. How are you?
I am awesome, Zach. How you doing, brother?
Well, I'm doing fantastic. So I think this is one of the funniest controversies ever, but we saw it last night on who should get the game ball with the Milwaukee Bucks and the Indiana Pacers. Who was in the right? Who was in the wrong here? Who should get the game ball?
Who cares? Like, really? Really? Like, it's like the NBA is a 24-hour, 365-day soap opera.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot. Like, here's the thing. So last night, I was working the Pelicans versus Washington Wizards game. So I did get an opportunity to see it last night. Today, during my SiriusXM show, it was on in my hotel room. So I got a chance to watch it. If you didn't know, and optics matter, right? And you see everything that transpired, you would have assumed that, like, all hell broke loose.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what just happened? Like, the game is over and guys are in each other's faces and Giannis takes off running to the back. Like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Are they beating up the Thanasis? Like, what is the deal here? And then you realize all this is transpiring because of who got the game ball. So it's like, okay, that happened. Back to Draymond Green.
Yeah. But that's the NBA now. It's like the regular season this year, we've probably talked about 5 things. And I get it. On our show, there's a lot of NFL. There's a lot of college football this time of the year. But when we talk about the NBA now, it's like, what does Draymond do that's stupid? All right, Giannis is now fighting over a game ball. The Spurs with Victor Wembanyama have lost 18 in a row. And then, oh yeah, the Lakers are going to hang a banner for winning this in-season tournament championship. Those are the things that we're talking about when it comes to the NBA on a national show. It's a joke.
I hear you. I hear you. I'm trust me, brother. I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. It's not a whole lot. Like, think about it. Over the last 2 days,
it's the Real Housewives of the NBA. That's what it's turned into.
That's true. That's true. And over the last 2 days, SiriusXM NBA radio has turned into Draymond Green radio.
Yeah.
Over the last 2 days, and that's the only, not the only story. Obviously, you don't want to sit here and just talk about games and, to watch Victor Wembanyama and Anthony Davis go at it last night. That was pretty cool. That was pretty awesome. Watch some of these younger teams that are really surprising. Watch Minnesota tie for the best record in the league. Watching Oklahoma City continue to climb the ladder. Watching the biggest or second biggest surprise in the league to me in Orlando and the job that Jamal Mosley's doing down there. Like, those are some of the things that we should kind of focus on more. But as we know, in the culture that we live in, a lot of times it's the negativity that gets the headlines.
Antonio Daniels here with us. All right, talking about that negativity. We all saw what happened with Draymond Green and Nurkic. Now we know the league has suspended him indefinitely. What's been your reaction to the last few days?
I struggle with indefinitely. That's the word I struggle with, because we don't know what that means. I wonder, and I ask the question, Zach, why is it that the NBA has come up with a number for everyone else, but in this particular case, it's not about the number. It's more about, okay, well, let's get Draymond Green back right, which should have been a priority forever ago, though. That's the thing. The fact that getting Draymond Green back right has become the issue now after everything that we've seen. You think about last year punching Jordan Poole, stepping on Domas Sabonis, and just recently choking Rudy Gobert, all these other kind of things where it's like the writing's been on the wall. So why is it that now it's like, oh, okay, maybe this is something we need to get under control, when I feel like many people, and us in the media as well, are at fault for where Draymond Green is right now.
And Antonio, I thought I was on an island because I had so many takes over the summer. I thought the juice wasn't worth the squeeze anymore with Draymond Green, and I thought they should have moved on from him. But I didn't expect the Warriors to do that because they've enabled all this throughout the years.
Correct.
And they just rewarded him a brand new contract. Like, think about it. You could punch a player in the face, your own teammate, and then they get rid of that guy after the season, and they keep you and they pay you $100 million. And the greatest irony of this all is Steve Kerr knows what it's like to get punched in the face by a teammate.
But Steve Kerr doesn't know what it's like to get punched in the face by a teammate and for it to go viral.
Fair.
That's the thing. So, and think of all of these different incidents that we just referenced, right? So we can think of the 4 incidents that we just referenced. So let's go all the way back to training camp of 2 years ago, where he punched Jordan Poole, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So then after that, you have the Domas Sabonis incident in the playoffs.
Yep.
And then after that, you have choking out of Rudy Gobert. And then you obviously have what just transpired with Yusuf Nurkic. Prior to this one, out of all of the things that's happened, he's never been suspended for more than 5 games. And to put some context behind this, Kyrie Irving, for sending out his anti-Semitic tweets, was suspended for 8 games. Ja Morant, for doing what he did, was suspended for 25 games. But everything that Draymond Green has done, even they talk about being a repeat offender and so on and so forth, he's never been suspended for more than 5 games. So the question that I ask is, maybe if the punishment was a little more harsh, then maybe we're not having these issues and these conversations today.
Yeah, and I call the commissioner of the league spineless silver, because I think he lets the players get away with too much. And the Warriors, it's almost as if they've been afraid to punish Draymond Green as well, and they've just left that on the league.
When you're winning, it's okay, Zach.
Yeah, when you're winning, it's fine. Everyone ignores it. Like look back at the finals with everything that was happening in that playoff run, and people are like, oh, is Draymond really worth it anymore? And then they win a championship, and it's like, oh, It doesn't matter if we think it's worth it or not.
So I'll tell you what I found out throughout the course of my career is if your talent outweighs your baggage, your team will rock with you.
Yeah.
A team will rock with you if your talent outweighs your baggage. The moment that your baggage starts to outweigh your impact, now teams and organizations are having different conversations about you. And you see it quite often. You see it quite often through the course of history. Teams will deal with a lot when you're averaging 30 points a game. Teams will deal with a lot when you're winning championships and taking them to the NBA Finals. But when that 30 points per game is now 14 points per game, now they feel like they can replace you with someone else that can do the same things you're doing as far as impact is concerned without the baggage.
But it's tough for me to believe that they think that when you just gave them $100 million this offseason.
But then the thing is, you don't know what Draymond Green is coming to this season. Like, let's be honest. Did you think coming into this season, a quarter of the way through, that Draymond Green would have been suspended twice already and he would look like he's on the last leg of his career? Did you think that coming into this season that Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins, after the way that Andrew Wiggins played a couple of years ago, would be this bad this early in the season?
What I thought going into this year was Draymond, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. I wasn't a believer in him anymore. And with Klay, there's been, even though last year, right, the numbers look good, there were too many inconsistencies where I thought his better days were behind him. Like, this isn't shocking to me. And that's the thing with the Warriors. They keep on rewarding people for what they've done in the past. It's not, how do we move this forward and still find a way to get Steph another championship and build a better team around him?
But see, I feel like if that was the thought, that thought would have taken place years ago when you had James Wiseman and you had Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody. It was amazing to me watching the way that the Golden State Warriors have moved, because you had lottery picks and you were playing guys like Anthony Lamb, who's not in the NBA anymore, Ty Jerome, who's not a role player anymore, playing ahead of Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, and guys like James Wiseman. That was always different for me. I tell you what I think one of the most difficult things has to be. Anytime you lose a player with ERA after his name, it's an issue. Watching a dynasty come apart is never pretty. It's never pretty. Like, what dynasty have you known that actually fell apart? And it's like, oh my gosh, this is a beauty. Think about it. The San Antonio Spurs for 20 straight seasons did their thing.
Yeah.
Right now,
they can't win a game.
They're sitting on, 18 losses in a row.
Look at the Patriots right now, too.
Exactly. Bill Belichick was the best coach in the league when Tom Brady was there. Then Tom Brady left, and now he's on his way out. So we see it all the time. When you have dynasties and those dynasties have to come apart, it's never a pretty sight. And what we're seeing right now, what I feel like this Draymond Green situation has done, Zach, is it's expedited some conversations. So now it's brought some things to the forefront that maybe if Draymond Green doesn't do the things that he's done, maybe we don't have to discuss. Will Klay Thompson be a Golden State Warrior moving forward? You know, what are they going to do with Andrew Wiggins? Because this is Steve Kerr's last year under contract. This is Chris Paul's last year under contract. This is Klay Thompson's last year under contract. But now what Draymond Green has forced us to do is have some uncomfortable conversations about this dynasty moving forward, in my opinion.
So let me ask you this. You are Steph Curry. How do you handle this? What do you say to management? What do you say to Draymond Green right now?
I have a hard time believing that Steph Curry hasn't already had these conversations. You know, these guys have gone through wars together. These guys have gone through hell together. I don't know what else I can say. My thing is, I want Steph Curry to ride this out. I want him to ride this out. I don't want him to be like everyone else. And the moment that things start heading south, you know what? Get me out of here. Trade me somewhere else. But here's the thing. You just spoke to it, Zach. You reward Draymond Green with a 4-year, $100 million contract. You trade him. That means somebody has to take that contract on. And the question that you ask, like you said, is the juice worth the squeeze at this particular time in his career? If this is 8 years ago, yes.
Absolutely.
But today, right. But today in 2023, a 33-year-old Draymond Green that struggles to shoot the ball from the outside and was drafted into a perfect situation for his skill set. Is he having this same impact on any other team in this league is the question.
And you're talking about Draymond?
Yes.
And the answer is no. Like if Draymond's not on the Warriors, he's like, he's going to be a Hall of Famer, you know, have his number retired, but he would be playing himself out of the league right now if he was on any other team.
So how do you move him? So if Steph Curry says,
the unfortunate answer is you got to attach some picks with him, and then that derails your future as well if you have a bad season.
Correct.
There's like no win here.
Right. So what is the plan now moving forward for Golden State? Because like Steve Kerr said, if they still view themselves as a championship team, which I'm sure they do because they still got Steph Curry, any way you look at it. But in the words of Steve Kerr, if we don't have Draymond Green, we're not a championship team.
Yeah,
that's why they go out and they sign him for $100 million. I felt like the first domino to drop with the Golden State Warriors starting to splinter and come apart at the seams was Bob Myers leaving.
Yeah.
I felt like that was the first domino to drop. And now you're starting to see a couple other dominoes fall.
It's almost like they're afraid to know what life is without Draymond Green. And when Bob Myers leaves, I thought a big reason why he left was he knew down deep the tough decisions he was going to make, and he didn't want to ruin the relationships with people that he won and has won championships with.
Okay, Zach, let's keep it 100. Do you think that Bill Belichick wanted to know what life was like without Tom Brady?
You know what? That one was weird. I actually do, because their egos got in such a way with Brady and Belichick that they both thought they could win on their own.
Do you think Greg Popovich wanted to know what life was like without Tim Duncan?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. You can go down the list of different guys. Do you think that Phil Jackson wanted to know what life was like without Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman?
No.
Not a chance.
No way.
Not a chance. So I can understand Steve Kerr trying to ride this thing out. And Steve Kerr, to me, is the band on the Titanic. Like, he's going to play until this thing goes down. You know, he's going to – look, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to play. But when this ship goes down, I'm going down with it. He is doing everything within his power to try and keep this dynasty alive, which I completely understand because this is what he knows.
Wrapping up with Antonio Daniels, what do you make about the conversation regarding Zion Williamson and the shape that he's in right now?
I feel like it's low-hanging fruit. You know, when he plays bad, that's always the discussion. When he plays bad. And it takes a nationally televised game against the Los Angeles Lakers where the lights were obviously too bright for the New Orleans Pelicans on that particular night. You know who it wasn't too bright for? LeBron James, right? He's been to the finals 10 times. He understood the assignment. And what I was told is in Las Vegas, it mirrored a Western Conference Finals, NBA Finals setup for the in-season tournament. With the media, with just the way that things were going. I just, for me, if you have an issue with the guy, I get it. There's a way to go about it. And some of the things that are being said about this young man, because I know this young man personally, talk to him quite often, are insensitive and borderline bully. And I do have a problem with that.
So who is the true Zion Williamson? The guy that you know, who is the true Zion?
He is a great kid. He is a great kid. And here's the thing, though. Did I have it all figured out at 23? I didn't.
No, neither did I.
I'm not going to lie to you. Like, listen, I went through 4 years of college at Bowling Green State University and came to the NBA, and I did not have it all figured out. I didn't. We have to understand when guys are one and done what we're asking. Everybody's not coming into this league like LeBron. I don't care. Guys may be ready physically to dominate, but it's more than just physical. There's a mental aspect to this. There's an emotional aspect to this. There is a social media element aspect to this that we don't take into consideration. And what we assume as a culture, that if a guy is compensated financially and he is popular or famous or a celebrity, that he should be able to take whatever is said to him. And that's not the case. These guys, regardless as to the amount of money they make, are still humans with feelings. If you want to criticize a guy with constructive criticism, I get it. I get it, because that's building a young man up. But to continually tear him down and tear him down and tear him down and speak to him like he's not a human or that he doesn't have feelings, for me, I just don't grasp the concept of it.
I only got a minute left. Last thing I'll ask you, Antonio Daniels. If someone says to you it's 18-game losing streak for the Spurs, Victor Wembanyama is supposed to be this generational player, maybe it's time to move on from your former coach and Greg Popovich, what do you say to that fan that says that?
I feel like Greg Pop has earned the right to leave when he wants to leave. I feel like he's earned that right. You know, when you are in San Antonio and you win 5 championships bring 5 championships to a small market, had this team championship relevant for 20 plus seasons. I feel like you have earned the right to a few bad seasons. You've earned that right. And when he finally decides to say, you know what, this is it for me, then, you know, he'll go down as one of the greatest, if not the greatest coach in NBA history. But just because he's struggling right now, because his team lacks experience, they lack age, they lack overall talent in comparison to the rest of the NBA, I feel like the easy thing is to say, let's move on from him. So the question I would ask is, you're moving on from Greg Popovich, arguably the greatest coach of all time, to whom?
And most people don't have that answer. That's a tough part, to replace Pop. Good luck. It's tough to do.
That's not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah. Maybe you. I think you could be a coach one day, Antonio Daniels.
You know what? I believe when God is ready for me to coach, he will bless me with that opportunity.
He's Antonio Daniels. Does a fantastic job. My favorite listen when it comes to the NBA, SiriusXM NBA Radio, also Pelicans TV analyst. Antonio Daniels, always great to catch up with you. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Zach. Always, brother.
There he is, Antonio Daniels, joining us on the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. And before we take a break and get to the Zach Gelb Show PSA, let me just tell you that you could stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone. All season long, you can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local zone. Get in the zone at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. Update time. Here he is, Pat Boyle.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
All right, Zach, NFL news as we get ready to kick off Week 15. Joe Flacco is cashing in on his recent heroic efforts in trying to keep the Browns playoff bound. The 38-year-old former Super Bowl MVP quarterback has signed a contract with Cleveland that lasts the remainder of this season, with max winning incentives worth over $4 million. That's according to his agency, JL Sports. Flacco was on the practice squad for the last few weeks, but in just 2 starts, he's tossed for 5 tuds and over 550 yards. Meanwhile, in Minnesota, the fat lady has apparently sung on the Josh Dobbs era in Minnesota. The Vikings have named Nick Mullins their starter, their 4th different starting QB in the last 7 games. Rookie Jaron Hall is the backup. Dobbs is the emergency 3rd-string QB. Mullins would probably love to have starting running back Alexander Madison. He's out with a sprained ankle on Saturday, but he will have Jay Jettas. Justin Jefferson is expected to play his normal amount of reps despite his chest injury that he suffered last week. Finally, Chargers at the Raiders tonight for Thursday Night Football. Easton Stick versus Aiden O'Connell. Plenty of other superstars missing. Raiders All-Pro running back Josh Jacobs out tonight with a quad injury, while Chargers receiver Keenan Allen had already been ruled out with a heel injury. The two stars are both missing their first games of the season. I'm Pat Boyle.
Hey, it's Amy Lawrence. Be sure to listen to CBS Sports Radio at home. Just ask Alexa to play CBS Sports Radio.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick from the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide on CBS Sports Radio. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Today's memorable moment is sponsored by Prevagen. Prevagen is the most recommended memory support brand by pharmacists. The last time the Chargers and Raiders squared off was in Week 4. The Chargers won 27-14 behind a 6-sack effort by Khalil Mack. Aiden O'Connell started for the Raiders in that one and completed 24 of 39 passes for 238 yards, but had no touchdowns, 1 interception, and lost 2 fumbles. Let's get to a little Zach Gelb Show PSA.
It's a Thursday. What do you have to say? It's the weekly Zach Gelb Show PSA.
Who's with me? Let's go! Come on! Hey!
So I'm in a survivor pool here at CBS Sports Radio and WFAN. Going into last week, I was down to the 3 final contestants. On Thursday, someone picked the Steelers to beat the Patriots. They go out. So it's yours truly, and then a very nice salesperson by the name of Kelly. Very nice girl. And we get to Sunday. Now, all throughout the week, I share this survivor pool with my best friend. We have 2 entries, and Kelly shares it with her husband. So I don't know what their pick's going to be. They picked the Ravens to beat the Rams. So all throughout the week, my friend and I are debating who should we pick. Considering the Jets to lose to the Texans, so we're considering taking the Texans. We're also considering potentially going with the Packers to beat the Giants, and then also a minor consideration for the Saints to beat the Panthers. My best friend goes, we're taking the Packers. Got to take the Packers. Like, I don't like that pick of the Packers. I think they could lose to the Giants. And last year, we had a similar conversation where I let him win and get to pick the team because I wanted to pick against the Jets. The Jets ended up losing or winning, losing that game last year, which we would have won the week, and the team that we pick, the team that he said that we should go with, ended up losing. So this year, I was very adamant. We are picking against the Jets. We're taking the Texans because I'm not letting the Jets screw me 2 years in a row. And then Randall Cobb decides to score a touchdown. It was a 0-0 game at halftime. Everyone gets hurt for the Texans. And the next thing you know, the Jets not only beat the Texans, they blow them out. Now, I lose, but I still have a chance to win some money because you're in a great affair in a game between the Rams and also the Ravens. And the Ravens win on a walk-off punt return for 76 yards. So the PSA that I have is never trust the Jets to do anything, even to lose games when they're great at losing games, because usually when you expect them to lose, they then find a way to win. So that's my PSA. Never, ever, ever trust the Jets to help you out to do anything.
Welcome to my hell.
Well, you abandoned them, so.
His
All
former
right.
hell.
Stu, go ahead. What's your PSA today?
Mine is SantaCon. SantaCon sucks. I wind up being in the city every year accidentally during SantaCon, whether I'm working or I'm just, this past weekend, this Saturday, I was out with a couple friends. Didn't know it was SantaCon. As soon as I got on the train, I saw a couple people dressed in Santa costumes. It's SantaCon. It's the worst. It's too many people. It's chaos.
And everyone's drunk, too.
Everyone's drunk. It's just a total, it's a disaster. I hate it.
I thought the worst thing I was going to see was on the NJ Transit today. There was a bull that was on the loose on the tracks.
Yes.
I thought that would be the worst thing. But you are right. When it was SantaCon, it's insufferable to take public transportation during SantaCon.
And for those who don't know what SantaCon is, in New York City, everyone dresses as Santa, and there's a pub crawl, bar crawl throughout the entire city. And you get a bunch of drunk Santas and reindeers and Santa's helpers and Mrs. Clauses.
And elves.
falling all over themselves throughout the city and just being drunk. There were 2 Santas who got into a fight in front of my building. I have the video.
Oh, really?
It's very funny, yes.
Oh, I would love to see that after the show. Anyway, what's your PSA quickly? We got a minute left.
All right, so my PSA very quickly. You know, my daughter's first birthday was this weekend.
Yeah.
A lot of well-meaning people. Oh, whatever you need, whatever kind of help you need, just let me know. And then when you ask them for actually to help, they're not there.
Crap.
Right? Don't ask. Don't offer to help. Don't offer to do something. Don't offer to be there for somebody. And then when they actually take you up on the offer, you're like, oh, sorry, I can't do that. You know what? Then don't put the damn offer out there in the first place. It drove me crazy.
Well, all I will say is for your daughter's second birthday, I will offer to help you if you need any help.
Yeah. I can see what's going to happen 364 days from now. Hey, Zach, you want to help me
I'm busy
load
that
up
weekend.
some gifts in the car? No, sorry, I'm busy.
That's too much weight to try to pick up things, I don't want to be strenuous on my shoulder.
We did get a lot of gifts. It was very hard to lift everything. I mean, carrying things up and down the stairs and out of the car.
If you need help with that, seriously, help me out. Hit me up. I'll come over.
I got some onesies for you if you want to try those on.
Yeah, I'm not a onesie type of guy. That is not me. It is the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. Fun show today. Big thanks to Stuart Kovacs. Big thanks to Michael Samter, each and every one of you, for listening and participating with the extravaganza. Also, big thanks to Phil Simms for stopping by and Antonio Daniels as well. We'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific for a big Football Friday show. Hall of Famer. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Joe Thomas will join us. Enjoy your Thursday, everybody. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.